It's a public affairs presentation of the Metro Nashville Network. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Nolan, your announcer for this program. Tonight, the 15th Metropolitan Council holds its 71st business meeting of a four-year term. This is the 17th council meeting of 2022. That includes one special adjourned meeting that was held earlier this calendar year. Tonight, the council agenda is 36 pages long. Along with 93 items. It includes a public comment period, one proposed council rule change, 3 resolutions on public hearing. There are also 41 regular resolutions for first reading bills, 15 second reading bills, and 29 ordinances on third and final reading. In addition, the council will consider 21 mayoral appointments or reappointments to 12 Metro boards and commissions. That includes 4 reappointments to the Metro Arts Commission, 1 reappointment to the Metro Action Commission, 1 appointment and 1 reappointment to the CATV board. Other nominations include an appointment to the Employee Benefit Board, 3 to the Fire and Building Codes Appeals Board, 2 appointments and reappointments to the Historic Zoning Commission, 2 appointments to the Human Relations Commission, 1 appointment to the Mechanical, Plumbing, and Electrical Engineering Examiners Appeals Board, 1 appointment to the Housing Trust Fund, 1 appointment to the Nashville Education, Community, and Arts Television Board, and finally an appointment to the Tourism and Convention Commission. All these citizens serve on these boards as volunteers. The proposed council rule change is a small but possibly significant one in terms of procedure. It's not unusual for the council to have to suspend its rules during the meeting to consider a late bill or a resolution or some other matter. The rule change makes it easier to do so. The current rule requires 3 objections to block a rule suspension. The new rule will require 5 objections. Among major actions for the night, the council will again consider more legislation in opposition to the recent Supreme Court decision overturning the constitutional right to an abortion. A bill on third and final reading, BL 2022-1372, adds an additional requirement to Nashville's Do Better law. It will require those companies seeking economic and community development incentive grants or agreements and pilot agreements, which are payments in lieu of taxes, with the Metropolitan government to provide their employees with access to obtain medical treatment that is otherwise unavailable in their respective states, in this case in Nashville or in Tennessee. There's also a bill on second reading related to the abortion issue. BL 2022-1385 would ban the use of license plate scanner technology to assist with enforcing laws outlawing abortion or outlawing interstate travel to obtain an abortion. Council also has another resolution on another ordinance on third reading related to LPR technology. BL 2022-1115 would ban the use of license plate readers to assist with enforcing immigration laws. By the way, Nashville does not presently have an LPR program. A pilot program has been in development now for the past few months. The Cooper administration has made a major commitment to address the growing number of pedestrian deaths and injuries along Nashville's roads. Tonight, under RS 2022-1724, the council will endorse a Vision Zero action plan. The plan will make specific commitments to projects, policies, and programs over the next 5 years to meet the goal of 0 deaths and serious injuries, with a specific focus on locations identified in the high injury network. The implementation plan, which is still to be put together, will determine annual funding needs for NDOT to successfully meet the goals outlined in the document. The implementation plan also develops specific measurable actions over the next 5 years that can be taken during the action plan. Mayor Cooper is in the chambers tonight, is expected to speak to the council probably about this topic and its importance. Another major action tonight will be the approval of 2 resolutions approving $315 million in revenue bonds for the Metro Water Services to fund capital improvements in the city's water and sewer system. A loan through EPA is also involved to receive a fixed interest rate. These moves will not have any impact on the rates of what has already been approved by the council. As we're on the agenda tonight, the council will consider several resolutions and ordinances impacting affordable housing and homeless services. 4 resolutions would appropriate $50 million in American Rescue Funds to those efforts under resolutions RS 2022-1696 through 1699. A second reading bill, BL 2022-1381, would allocate the annual in lieu of tax payments coming from the Convention Center Commission to affordable housing initiatives, creating in effect a dedicated funding mechanism for affordable housing. Another second reading bill, BL 2022-1382, would expand historic property tax abatements in the city, and those grants would include improvements made to historical structures damaged whether by a natural disaster, man-made disaster, or other causes beyond the owner's control. There are caps on the amount of the tax abatements each year. The council staff estimates the current amount for these abatements would be just over $390,000 if the bill is approved. Under another resolution, RS 2022-1700, the council will accept a nearly $90,000 grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council, along with $81,000 in matching funds from Metro. The city's Social Services Commission would deliver meals to eligible seniors in their homes and in congregate meal sites throughout Davidson County. The meals will meet RDA nutritional guidelines. The grant will also provide transportation services to eligible seniors and to handicapped residents. This is a continuation of a grant that has been in place now for over 3 decades. Under RS 2022-1708, the council will accept a $6.4 million grant from the state for the Metro Health Department to promote proper use of all recommended vaccines and respond to vaccine preventable diseases in collaboration with the CDC and other partners. Congress. Under other resolutions, RS 2022-1633 would create a task force to initiate a study to determine the 5 most probable locations for potential waste transfer stations within the county. The study is to be completed no later than July 31st, 2023. This item has already been deferred by the council 3 different times. Other bill of note on second reading would take advantage of new state laws to ban indoor smoking and now vaping in certain age-restricted venues such as bars and clubs. Indoor smoking and other non-age-restricted venues such as businesses, restaurants, and public buildings have been prohibited. Smoking has been prohibited there since 2007. The only remaining exemptions, if this bill passes, would be tobacco stores, vape shops, and cigar bars. Elsewhere on the agenda, there are 2 bills creating a new Nashville Entertainment Commission. BL 2022-1250 is on third reading. 2 weeks ago, however, it fell short in passing on second reading of the 21 votes it will need tonight for final approval. Another bill, BL 2022-1379, sets up a different way to approach to set up this committee. It's on second reading on this agenda. Traffic calming measures are also in quite demand, and a bill on second reading, BL 2022-1384, will potentially expand that availability. The measure would allow neighborhoods that have not been approved by Metro to fund their own their own traffic calming things within their neighborhood with private funds if all of the requirements are met. Under memorializing resolutions, the council will honor the life of local African-American business icon Darrell Freeman and retired longtime Metro Police Chief Joe Casey. The resolution would honor the life of prominent Nashville singer and actress Shanka Durka. A resolution would also honor Bobby Medlin upon the occasion of his retirement as a longtime voting machine technician of the Davidson County Election Commission. Finally, the council will recognize August as National Black Business Month in Nashville and Davidson County. Tonight's meeting is again being held during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. State law has stripped the Metro Health Department of the power to continue a mask mandate in city-owned buildings. Virus cases have begun to decline again, but wearing masks tonight is still recommended but not required. If you want to follow tonight's council meeting as it progresses, you can find the agenda and a staff analysis online. Just go to the Metro Council portion of the Nashville.gov website, then on to the Legislative Information Center. We'll also be placing the bill numbers on the screen when they come up for consideration so you can follow along and keep up with where we are on the meeting agenda. Let's now go to Vice Mayor Jim Shulman. He'll be gaveling tonight's council meeting to order shortly.
Please come to order. We welcome you to the Metro Council. Today is Tuesday, August the 16th, 2022. Will all members of the council, as well as the public, please rise for the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our invocation tonight is brought to us by our good friend, Representative/Pastor Harold Love Jr. of Lee Chapel AME Church, and he is a guest of Councilmember Kathleen Murphy.
Let us pray. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. God, we thank you for this day and for these members of the Metropolitan Council. We pray that you will give them wisdom as they deliberate issues tonight. Give them patience as they deliberate issues tonight. Give them guidance as they deliberate issues tonight. And when they have completed their business tonight, we pray for safe passage home for them. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. You all may be seated. Without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of those members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for adoption of the minutes of the meeting from August the 2nd, 2022? I see a motion properly seconded. Without objection, the minutes of the meeting will stand approved as written. Before we get to the clerk asking the clerk whether there are any messages from the mayor, we actually have the mayor here. Mr. Mayor, I believe you would like to address the council. So,
thank you, Sean.
Yeah, come right up here. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the council, the Honorable John Cooper, our mayor. Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I know you've got an agenda tonight. Council members, it's great to see you as always. Now, over the past couple of years, we have worked together to get our city finances in order, and we've made sometimes difficult decisions that have stabilized Metro's fiscal standing to prepare us for our bright future. And I think we're starting to reap the benefits of those decisions. And now, as you might have seen last week, we launched a new online tool, the Neighborhoods Improvement Tracker, that allows the public to see the status of all of Metro's neighborhood projects in real time. And it's a lot of projects. Across Nashville, I mean, as you know, it's a lot of projects. Across Nashville, Metro is investing $3.3 billion in over 800 active neighborhood improvements. And now your constituents can go online and see the work going on in their neighborhood. Now, from schools and community centers to upgrading neighborhood infrastructure like sidewalks, bridges, speed bumps, bike lanes, and more, this tracker allows Nashvillians to see what's happening, what it costs, and when it's going to be finished. So I encourage everybody to go to the homepage of nashville.gov. And it's a tool for everybody here in the council, but it's a big tool for the public. It's adding a layer of transparency and accountability, and it is also a management tool. Now, and residents and, yes, council members can now track the progress of projects to ensure they are delivered on time and on budget. And it's going to allow you to provide detailed and precise answers for when folks in your districts have questions about specific projects, and we're already seeing a great response. There have been 4,000 views since it launched a few days ago. And now, while we're talking numbers and accountability, I want to take the opportunity to celebrate, and you along with me, and to thank the folks that make it possible, this great online tool that is Hub Nashville. Launched in October 2017, Hub Nashville really has revolutionized constituent services. This summer, it passed 1 million requests on Hub Nashville. Now, when it was launched, the average response time for a Hub Nashville request was around 12 days. Now it's 48 hours, and they're working hard to make it even faster. Filling potholes in 3 days on average, and the goal is to get that down to 48 hours. Every 2 weeks, Hub Nashville is guiding the picking up of 13 tons of litter across over 500 square miles of Nashville. Every 2 weeks, 13 tons of litter. Now, I'm here to thank the work of Aaron Williams and all our Metro departments who work quickly to be responsive to Nashvillians and Hub Nashville. And you've got a long agenda tonight, or some agenda. Every night can be a long agenda, so good luck with that. But I wanted to take the time to thank the people that made the Neighborhood Improvement Tracker possible, to thank Hub Nashville, because it really is revolutionizing response, and to celebrate our tool, you, the council members, and me, to engage with constituents in real time to discuss the neighborhood improvements in their district. So there's one more way to go online, and that sidewalk to Maplewood High School, that culvert in Goodlettsville, now you can see when it's going to be finished and what it's going to cost. And then I'm going to celebrate department heads using it as a management tool to help get more done quicker for our taxpayers. Thank you all very much. And again, Hub Nashville on the homepage under performance. And again, thanks to everybody in Metro who's made this possible. And thank you all, and use it. Use it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Besides his making an appearance, he wrote us a letter. So, Mr. Clerk, are there messages from the mayor?
Yes, Vice Mayor, there is.
Okay.
Dear Vice Mayor Shulman and members of council, pursuant to regulations of the Tennessee Comptroller's Office, the reports on debt obligations must be submitted to the Metropolitan Council and presented at a meeting of that body before filed with the Comptroller of the state. As previously approved by the Metropolitan Council through resolution number RS 2022-1556, the capital improvements bond issuance occurred on August 4th, 2022. The General Obligation Improvements Bonds Series 2022A and General Obligation Improvement Bonds Series 2022B are commitments of $328,545,000 and $282,565,000 respectively. The proceeds of the Series 2022 A bonds were used to retire outstanding commercial paper notes and related cost of issuance. The proceeds of the Series 2022 B bonds will be used to pay for general government, public works projects, and issuance costs. Please view the City Investor Relations page for additional information. As always, we appreciate the Metropolitan Council's support on these important financing initiatives. Sincerely, John Cooper, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. We are ready to proceed. A couple of things to note and remember for tonight. Since our last meeting, which was August the 2nd, according to information that I receive, there have been at least 25 mass shootings in this country, including 2 here in Tennessee since August the 2nd, and one of those was here in Nashville. You also should have gotten a report from the police today that 870 guns have been stolen from vehicles so far this year. And we also still have a war going on in Ukraine. Please remember those folks as well. Since our last meeting, you probably would have seen that former police chief Joe Casey, longtime police chief, passed away, as did a former council member, Carl Birch. And I believe we'll have a resolution later on Councilmember Birch. On some lighter news, today is Councilmember Aaron Evans' birthday. So happy birthday, Councilmember Evans. And it is also the birthday of our own finance department's Mary Jo Wiggins. And she returned to work from some health-related matters. She was here yesterday during the budget meeting. She is not here today. I believe that she is celebrating her birthday. But we wish her a happy birthday, and we are so glad that she is back. If you'll pass that along to her, okay? This is our last meeting in August. I'll be announcing new chairs for the following year later on this week. I just haven't had a chance to take care of all the conflicts as I was moving some people around. So I'm still working on them. You should get a list by the end of this week. They will take over the first meeting in September. And at our next meeting, which will be the first meeting in September, we will be electing a pro tem. So if anybody's interested, we will take nominations from the floor that night and then vote for a pro tem. I do want to thank all the chairs and our current pro tem for all the hard work this year. You've done an exceptional job. It was an interesting and difficult year, but the chairs did an excellent job, and the pro tem did as well. So thank you. We do have a letter going out to you soon. We apparently have 2 vacancies on the Community Oversight Board. We have one that will be nominated by the council and one that will be nominated by community groups. So that letter should be coming out sometime this week. Okay, so be aware of that. And I would say that the first day of school has passed. It was last week. Thank you to all the teachers, administrators, staff, the kids, and their parents for starting off the year on a very, very good note. Everybody seemed to be really happy, at least most of the kids. Anyway. So we are now ready to go ahead. We have elections and confirmations. Councilmember Vercher, do we have a report from the Rules Committee?
Go to Councilwoman Murphy, Vice Mayor.
All right, I'll do that. Councilmember Murphy, you're recognized.
Thank you. We do have a report from the Rules and Confirmation Committee. Let me just run through them all.
You are more than welcome to go through them all.
We do have about 4 of them that we need to take as a committee of the whole.
Okay.
Because we did not have a quorum. Would you like me to start with those?
Why don't you, let's do the first group, the ones that we just do as usual, figure out which ones we need to defer. Let's get that taken care of, and then we'll do the remaining 4 as a committee of the whole.
Okay. So for CAT TV Special Committee reappointment of Mr. Tim K. Garrett for a term expiring March 1, 2025 is to be deferred 1 meeting, 8 in favor, 0 against.
Okay, we'll automatically defer that one meeting. Okay.
And now we will take for the ones that were approved by the committee at this time. Electric Power Board appointment of Mrs. Casey Santos for a term expiring on July 1, 2027. 6 in favor, 0 against. Employee Benefit Board, Dr. Gilbert Gonzalez, expiring on June 30th, 2025. 8 in favor, 0 against. Taking us to Fire and Building Codes Appeal Board, Mr. Andy Berry for a term expiring on July 20th, 2025. 7 in favor, 0 against. Fire and Building Code Appeal Board, Alka Hansloser for a term expiring on July 19th, 2026. 7 in favor, 0 against. The Fire and Safety Appeals Board, Mr. Sanhu for a term expiring on July 20th, 2025. 8 in favor, 0 against. Historic Zoning Commission, Ms. Beth Pashan for a term expiring June 1, 2027. 8 in favor, 0 against. Historic Zoning Commission, appointment Ms. Samantha Pyle, expiring on June 1, 2027. 8 in favor, 0 against. Historic Zoning Commission, reappointment of Mr. Cyril Stewart for a term expiring on June 1, 2027. 8 in favor, 0 against. Historic Zoning Commission, reappointment of Dr. Lee Williams, term expiring June 1, 2027. 8 in favor, 0 against. Human Relations Commission of Dr. Ben Van Tran for a term expiring April 18th, 2024. 8 in favor, 0 against. Human Relations Commission, appointment of Mr. Erwin Vinnick for a term expiring April 18th, 2024. 8 in favor, 0 against. Mechanical, Plumbing, Electrical Examiners Appeal Board, appointment of Mr. James Lassiter for a term expiring on April 1st, 2025. 8 in favor, 0 against. Nashville Education, Community and Arts Television, NECAT, appointment of Mr. Walter Henry Lewis III for a term expiring February 5th, 2024. 8 in favor, 0 against. Tourism and Conventions Commission, appointment of Ms. Brittany Chandler for a term expiring on June 30th, 2025. 8 in favor, 0 against. I do need to go back to Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund, appointment of Ms. Maria Jackson for a term expiring on September 17th, 2026, deferring 1 meeting. 8 in favor, 0 against. Those are all the ones that were approved by the committee, and then we can take up the ones for the committee of the whole. Okay, so
you've heard Councilmember Murphy go through the list, starting with in your agenda E7 22-241 with the first appointment for Ms. Casey Santos for the Electric Power Board, all the way through the rest of the calendar with 2 deferrals. Councilmember Murphy, if you would, after having stated all those votes, if you would make a motion to approve.
I'd like to move to approve.
Okay, I got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Discussion on any of the appointments or reappointments? All right, ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. So that group is approved. There were 2 deferrals. One is Mr. Tim Garrett, and the other one is Ms. Maria Jackson for the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund. All right, so those are approved. Now, Councilor Murphy, go back, because I think we need to act as a committee on the whole for the rest of these, correct?
Yes. So we have the Metro Action Commission, reappointment of Ms. Leslie Buggs for a term expiring July 1, 2025. She met all requirements that we asked her, along with Metro Action Commission reappointment of Ms. Kenya Convert for a term expiring on July 1, 2025. Metro Action reappointment of Mr. Joseph Mitchell for a term expiring on July 1, 2025. He also met all requirements. Metro Action Commission reappointment of Dr. Levinka Steele for a term expiring July 1, 2025, met all requirements. And CAT TV Special Committee appointment of Ms. Jackie Sherraro for a term expiring on March 1st, 2024. She also met all requirements. And I believe that takes us to everyone that the council needs to consider as a whole.
All right, so the purpose of this is that the Rules Committee didn't actually take an official vote on these.
Because we were short of a quorum, not for any lack of.
Okay, everybody was approved for purposes of qualifications, but you didn't have a quorum, and I believe is it Councilmember Rosenberg's fault?
Most definitely.
Okay, all right. So Councilmember Murphy is planning to, wants to move to have us act as a committee of the whole so we can get a committee report and properly second. Is there any objection to doing that? Councilmember Rosenberg, you okay with that? Yeah, okay, he's not sure. All right, so there's no objection, so we're going to act as a committee of the whole. And so, Councilmember Murphy, if you would make a motion to approve.
I would like to move to approve my previous announcements.
All right, so Councilmember Murphy has moved to approve. It's it's 5 individual appointments and reappointments, properly seconded. The motion is before you all. Are there any questions about this motion? Okay, we're voting on the 5. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is approved. Now, I think what we were debating here before was whether that takes care of the vote, because that was the committee as a whole. And I'm looking at our council director. Can we just assume without objection that that takes care of the motion and these folks are approved?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need any other motions. We consider that approved. Thank you, Rules Committee. I knew there were a lot of people on there. So we have a lot of those folks still in the back after all that who have just been selected or elected to different positions. If you will stand when I call your name and remain standing. Ms. Leslie Buggs, Action Commission. Okay, Kanika Covert, Action Commission. Joseph Mitchell, Action Commission. There's Mr. Mitchell. Lavanya Steele, Action Commission. There she is. Jackie Schrago, CATV Special Committee. Casey Santos for the Electric Power Board. Dr. Gilbert Gonzalez, Employee Benefit Board. Mr. Andy Berry, Fire Building Code and Appeals Board. Ms. Ilke Hanloser. How close was I to that? I was pretty close. Good. I was a lot closer than Councilmember Murphy. Mr. Devender Sandu. Mr. Sandu, there he is. He's back in the back. Okay, for the Fire Building Code and Appeals Board. Beth Cashin for the Historic Zoning Commission. Samantha Pyle, Historic Zoning Commission. Cyril Stewart, Historic Zoning Commission. Dr. Leah Williams, Historic Zoning Commission. Dr. Ben Vu Tran, Human Relations Commission. Erwin Vinnick for the Human Relations Commission. James Lassiter for Mechanical Plumbing and Electrical Examiners Appeals Board. Walter Henry Lewis III for NECAT. And Brittany Chandler for the Tourism and Convention Commission. Thank you all for agreeing to serve. Thank you all for staying so long so we could get through that. We appreciate your role and help for the city of Prince George. I think we had more people nominated than we had in the council, which is a small feat. Councilmember Murphy?
Yes, sir.
All right. right, while they're clearing out, let's go ahead and figure out what happened on the proposed rules amendment. We had a proposed amendment to Rule 54, the Metropolitan Council Rules of Procedure. This was brought by Councilmember Suara, and is it Councilmember Rosenberg who's handling this? Okay, so let me go to Councilmember Rosenberg first, and then I'll come back to you for a committee report. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized on the proposed rules amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President, committee report first?
So back to Councilmember Murphy for the Rules Committee.
Thank you. The motion to approve failed, so it was disapproved. 4 in favor, 3 against, 1 not voting. So the motion failed.
So it would have been 3-4, 4 against, and 1 not voting?
Yes, for
Okay,
the
on the
motion to
motion.
approve.
So it failed 3-4 to 1. Okay. All right. All right. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized on the proposed amendment to Rule 54.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this rules change proposal introduced by Councilmember Suara would change the threshold for refusing a rule suspension from 2 people to 5 people. Going back a little bit to the beginning of last term, there was discussion about changing it from 2 to 5, and ultimately we didn't. And Mr. President, if you remember this differently, please tell me. You were chairing the committee. We ultimately stayed with 2 under the theory that it would be a lot easier to stop all of the incessant rule suspensions that we were seeing, mostly due to late files. If we had left it at 2, then 2 members would always object, and we would nip all those late files in the bud. As it turns out, we don't. We let them go through, which is fine, and the only time you actually see a rule suspension get killed is when there are personalities involved, the person doesn't like the person making the motion, or if there are ideological issues involved. For example, it rarely, Councilmember Swope objects. Of course I did. So, it rarely, if ever, has anything to do with the rules. Ms. Darby did some solid research on other bodies that anybody's welcome to ask her about that found that pretty much every other body sets the rule suspension threshold at half to 2/3. The legislature, it's 2/3 that need to be okay with the rule suspension, and the Congress, it needs to be 2/3, and in our body, it needs to be 95%. So this proposal would change it from 95% to 87.5%. You would still have to have 87.5% of the body okay with the rule suspension. Given that we are not ever blocking rule suspensions, just out of respect for the rules, it makes sense to be a little more democratic in that, in this respect. And that's why I'm supporting the rules change and asking you to do the same. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Rosenberg, you want to make a motion to approve?
Move approval. Thank you.
Councilmember Rosenberg moves approval of the proposed amendment change to Rule 54, properly seconded. Discussion on the rule change. Councilmember Murphy, you're first. Recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to share a little bit of what was discussed in our committee today. And we had also previously discussed this rule change and requested from Ms. Darby information. And while I understand that several council members think that because we're an outlier, maybe we need to come more in line with the rules that other bodies follow, let's be honest, there's 40 of us, and we are a very unique body. We make rules that fit what works for us here in Nashville. And this rule of two objections can kick your rule suspension out has been in place. Ms. Darby researched since 2011. Before that, it was 1 person to object. While there are assumptions that I think many of us would agree with, that most of the rule objections come from ideological or personal conflicts in this body and not based on the rules, that's going to continue, whether it's 2 or whether it's 5 or whether, as I suggested in committee, we roll a dice before every meeting to pick how many objections we need to a rule suspension. I think that this is something we can continue to consider, but quite honestly, whether it's 2, whether it's 5, whether it's 14 and a dinosaur, we're still going to be faced with a lot of issues. I think what we need to do as a body and as a rules committee is start enforcing our rules a little bit stronger. Obviously, there are going to be situations that come up, like grant proposals. That's something that's frequent. We want to meet those deadlines. Someone has passed away. Obviously, that is something that we want to honor that family in a timely manner. But I think as a body and as a rules committee, we do need to step up and enforce the rules very strongly as we have 1 year left in this term. And so I do not support this rule change because I think that the issue that is trying to be solved is just going to continue. And really, it's more about enforcement than how many people raise their hands.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Murphy. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'll be brief. I agree with Councilmember Murphy on this, and I want to give colleagues who maybe weren't here last term a concrete example. We were at our last meeting, I think, and we had a former member who was attempting to basically run a half dozen zoning bills, all of which were disapproved, and then was trying to put on top of those amendments, late filed amendments. And so to be able, for us as a body, to be able to say quickly, with two hands, quickly, hey, we're not going to do this, because it was a very clear intent. There was a pattern throughout that evening's agenda. To be able to do that quickly actually helped our body be more efficient and adhere better to the rules. On the flip side, to try to get 5 requires coordination. And if y'all think we can coordinate that on a regular basis, then y'all have a lot more faith than I do. Because we do need that many hands on things like when we call for a roll call vote after a voice vote has been taken and the vice mayor determines whether it passes or fails. And think about how many times we've been able to do that. I remember once this term, once. So I think this works. To Councilmember Murphy's point, we are a unique body. Every time I go anywhere and talk to a local official in a different city, and I tell them how many council members we have, they about pass out. So I believe that we do have to take some unique considerations here. And for that, I would say let's keep things as it is, and let's vote against this proposed rule change. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you. I'm also going to be voting against this. I think we definitely have an issue with not enforcing our rules, and I really want us to look at, I don't think that this solves the problem, whether we go from 2 to 5, because we still have excessive rules suspensions. And I hope that people understand the stress that it puts on the council office, because a late filed resolution isn't just 20 minutes late. Sometimes it's up to, a few hours before we meet. And the vast majority of it, I know there's sometimes we have to meet contractual obligations, there's money that has to be allocated by a certain time period, and those are justified, but a lot of times it's just because council members have forgotten or they don't know what the deadlines are. I wish that we had a rule where it wasn't up to this body to do that, because I think people don't want to say no to people. We want to be as friendly and work as well as we can with each other. So if there was a way to put it in someone else's hands, where if it's something that's not where we need to meet a contractual obligation, or it's really a needed rules suspension and it's just oops, I forgot type thing, or it's something that can be very reasonably be pushed to the next agenda. I wish we could do that where it takes us sort of out of it, if that makes sense, so that we're not putting it into a position where we have to say, no, I'm sorry, to one of our colleagues.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm a no on this too. I've considered it a lot. I understand the reasons the sponsor brought it, and I think that had to do a lot with internal dynamics in the body. I think too, though, across both of the last terms, one thing I want people to keep in mind is similar to something Councilmember Sledge referenced, which is there are times when the pressure from multiple directions can be such that members know that there may need to be a level of scrutiny more than there is, and those dynamics can splinter the body and cause a reluctance to offer that scrutiny. I think in this case, if all it takes is two people, particularly not just within the body, but with the administration, any administration, it's important for the body as a whole to retain an easier, almost like a counterforce to the leverage that exists. And I think this preserving the rule with a two-member requirement retains the body's leverage in this, and I think that's something that is well considered before we vote on this. I'm going to be a no on this. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Evans.
Previous question.
Councilmember Evans has called the previous question. We are voting on the previous question, not on the rule. So all those in favor of the previous question say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Previous question prevails. To change a rule, to amend a rule requires 27 votes. So I think that for purposes of this, I think we need to go on the board. Okay.
Do it. Do it.
It would take two hands to object right now. Yeah. Huh? All right. So, Mr. Clerk, tell me when you're ready. We're voting on a motion to approve an amendment, a proposed amendment to Rule 54. If you're for the change, you would vote aye. If you're against it, you would vote no. Mr. Clerk, open up the machines.
I do that too, but I sing them to
Councilmember Taylor. Is he on? All right, Mr. Clerk, close machines, take the vote. Aye 7, noes 27. Well, there's the 27. All right, so, and 2 abstentions. So the motion to approve the proposed amendment fails. All right, all right. All right, we have now public comment period. We have one individual that has signed up to speak to us tonight. Hold on, let me get this situated. Our guest tonight is Miss Kathy Jennings. She is the head of the Contributor, the newspaper. She is from District 17, Councilmember Sledge's district. Miss Jennings, you are recognized. You have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Hi. I see many familiar faces out here. I'm Kathy Jennings. I'm Executive Director of Nashville street paper, The Contributor, who also, in case you all didn't know, has a robust rapid rehousing program. We housed 41 people last year and continue to provide services to those people so that they stay successful in housing. But tonight, I'm also here to tell you that I am chair of your COC Shelter Committee. And the Shelter Committee has been very busy. Let me tell you a little bit about who's on that committee. We have several stakeholders from nonprofits, the Salvation Army, Open Table Nashville, Mary Parish Center, Safe Haven, Operation Stand Down, Community Care Fellowship, People Loving Nashville, Nashville Launchpad, as well as several others I'm sure I have forgotten. But I want you to see how big my committee is. It's over 20 people who actively attend in workshop meetings. We recently were asked, and we're very excited to provide input to Metropolitan Metro Homeless Impact Division's encampment strategy. And I know some of you all have heard of this in the interim housing community that flows along with it. Let me tell you what we did. We workshopped with them to provide a strategy for assessing encampments and how those encampments would be prioritized to move into bridge housing. We helped them develop a team that will be on the ground and include members from the nonprofit community who actually work with people living in the encampments, okay, to see who would be the most vulnerable and go into housing. This interim bridge housing is very important because we have people dying at record rates in these encampments, and winter is coming. And I don't mean to sound like Game of Thrones when I say that. We actually expanded our shelter committee to include members from Oasis Center and Colby's Army, amongst others, so that we would be sure to have, is that it? Oh, no. Okay, all I want to say is winter is coming. This is really, really important that we get this bridge housing. And it has been publicly out there by the community. We've all endorsed it. There's no questions asked. And I just want you all to know that you can come to me and ask me questions about it because we've talked a lot about it and we have a good plan. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Jennings. All right, we are now ready for our resolutions on public hearing. We do have an interpreter here tonight. Mr. Javier Braunmuller is here. There he is. So he is here to help anybody who has any questions or needs help with translation. So Mr. Braunmuller, if you will say that in Spanish so you can let anybody know here who may need some assistance, that would be great.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Javier Lynch. Estoy para interpretar para ustedes si tienen alguna duda o alguna pregunta.
All right, gracias. All right, so we have 3 resolutions on public hearing tonight. So let's see what we've got. The first one up is RS 2022-1688 by Councilmember Sledge and Hancock. Here's what I'm going to do as we call up resolutions for public hearing. I call them up one at a time, refer to the sponsor. So on the first one, I would call up, I would recognize Councilmember Sledge. Unless the sponsor moves to defer the public hearing, we will go ahead with the public hearing, ask for a show of hands of those who are here in favor of the resolution, a show of hands of those who are here in opposition. If anyone in favor wishes to speak, you'll come where Mr. Braunmuller is standing right now. Need your name, address, and then you'll have 2 minutes in which to speak. Then we do the same thing for anybody opposed to the resolution. After that, I close the public hearing and then go back to the sponsor. All right, so we're ready to go with the first one, RS 2022-1688 by Councilmember Sledge and Hancock. Resolution exempting, I believe is it Fayette? Okay, Fayette La Force Brewing Company, located 1414 3rd Avenue South, Suite 101, from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit. Councilmember Sledge, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee report, I think.
Councilmember Hancock, Government Operations.
Government Operations and Regulations voted to approve, 6 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Councilmember Sledge, right?
I'd request we open the public hearing.
Okay. So we're going to open the public hearing on the first one, RS 2022-1688. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of this resolution. All right. Okay. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this resolution. Seeing nobody in opposition, those in favor wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor.
Okay.
Curtis Harrington of Belcher Sykes Harrington here on behalf of Fayette La Force, which translates to strength through unity, which is the motto of Belgium. So they specialize in Belgian beers. I'd like to thank Councilman Sledge for sponsoring this. Much appreciated. A fantastic brewery located in Wedgwood, Houston. I refuse to say WeHo. I like to stick with the more labor-intensive Wedgwood, Houston. And thank you all for your consideration.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
My name is Jonathan Sad, and I live at 1305 2nd Avenue South, and they're my neighbor. So I just want to go on record in support of this resolution. Thank you.
Is that part of Strength Through Unity? Is that what this
is?
Yes. Okay.
Neighborhood.
All right.
You make me nervous.
Anybody else wishing to be heard on this one? All right, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Sledge, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move for approval.
Okay, Councilmember Sledge has moved for approval of RS 2022-1688, properly seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. you adopt. Next one is RS 2022-1689 by Councilmember O'Connell and Hancock. Resolution exempting 11 Music Square E, number 104, from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a short-term rental property. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Open the public hearing, please.
Okay, let's get the government operations
thank you.
report.
Sorry about that.
Hancock.
You can't just skip that part of the...
I am terribly sorry, Madam Chair.
That's all right. The Government Operations and Regulations Committee deliberated not at all on this. It was on the consent agenda. We voted in favor, 6 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Mr. President. We
Resolution. Okay. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the resolution. Okay, we've got hands on both sides. So those in favor wishing to speak, if you want to, please come up to the microphone. Need your name, address, and then you'll have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Hi, my name is Nick Morris. I live at 1927 18th Avenue South. This is our family's property that I'm here for. Initially reaching out, there's already 9 approved condos on this side of the building closest to that park. It's not like we're outside investors. Our family's been here since the 60s, and yeah, just want a little extra income as my grandpa's moving into retirement. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else in favor wishing to speak? Okay, those in opposition, come on up. Name, address, and then you'll have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Sure. My name is Chuck Fleckenstein. I live at 11 Music Square East in Unit 602, which is where the exemption in question exists. I don't know the applicant. I harbor no ill will against him, but I am against this exemption. As you all know, the essence of what's being requested here is something that in July 2020, the Metro Council passed an ordinance placing a 100-foot distance restriction against short-term rental properties applying for permit here in Nashville. This new 100-foot distance is between short-term rental properties in churches, schools, daycares, and parks. Our direct north neighbor at Spence Manor is the Owen Bradley Park. Our building, importantly, our swimming pool, and the unit today is all within this 100-foot boundary. In 2020, the council expressly passed the 100-foot regulation after hearing numerous concerns about associated short-term rental properties and their frequent association with public intoxication, lewdness, and excessive noise. I'm here to say we have that exact problem at Spence Manor, and it's with our short-term rentals. The residents at Spence Manor, the full-time residents, don't behave badly. It's the mentality of the short-term rental that is completely different and opposed to the long-term renter. We've got our famous guitar-shaped pool. It's advertised on these short-term rental sites as available to all tenants. All these tenants, all these short-term renters use the pool, and that's even closer to the park than our building is. But again, our building and the unit in question is within 100 feet of the park. This is Spence.
You can go ahead and finish up.
Yep, I think this is an easy one. It's an exemption that clearly is an exemption request for exactly what the law was put into place to protect against, and I urge that you vote against this exemption.
All right, thank you. Next. Name, address, and 2 minutes.
My name's Robert Hall. I live at 11 Music Square East. I've been there 30 years, and I've tried to find out how you get a proxy to represent people, but, I called several people who just don't want any more Airbnb. I mean, it's ruining our building. We got 500% more use of our elevators that are broken most of the time. We have pop-up hookers working our building. That's like a weekend kind of a deal. They check in, and all of a sudden we're a whorehouse. So it's just so out of control. And I like a lot of the people that have Airbnbs. I have nothing against it, but I don't want any more. And that's, if you want the names of the people that I'm representing, it's Sharon Townsend in 204. It's Kathy Townsend in 206. It's 508, Chance Mayfield, and Bob Montgomery, who's in 506. And there's a lot more that I just didn't get a hold of, but I know that we're just having a problem with the excessive use. We used to be 2 people in a room. You'd rent a room for 2 people. Now there's like 16 people living on floors and bunk beds, and it's a crazy house. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody else wishing to be heard on this one? Okay, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think given the public hearing, I guess let me do this. I'd like to move for a 2-meeting deferral with a brief comment.
All right, so the motion is to defer 2 meetings, properly seconded. Back to you.
Thank you. I think this is exactly why the public hearing process is useful, right? So this building, some of you may know, anybody I know Councilmembers Sledge and Syracuse and Allen have all participated in some of the Music Row Vision conversations, and I've recognized for a while that this is a residential building that has had quite a bit of short-term rental activity, and it's also an unusual circumstance where a portion of the building is not covered by this exemption, and we've actually done one of these exemptions again since that restriction was added to the Metro Code, and we did not hear from anybody at that time. So I think what I'd like to do is go talk to residents and potentially the applicant as well, and work on this a little more in the community before we consider it in the body. So I'm going to go back there and hand out a couple of cards and make sure we have the opportunity to come together on this before we reconsider approval of it. So I appreciate everybody who came out to speak in public hearing tonight.
All right, thank you.
With that, I renew my motion.
All right, thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. So the motion is to defer 2 meetings, so we're not voting on this tonight. We're going to defer 2 meetings. That's the motion, properly seconded. Discussion on the deferral. Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the deferral motion say aye. Opposed, no. This one's deferred 2 meetings. Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. We're on number 4, RS 2022-1690 by Councilmember Withers and Hancock. Resolution exempting 102 North 8th Street from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a short-term rental property. Councilmember Withers, you're recognized on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
All right, Councilmember Hancock.
Government Operations voted to approve, 6 in favor, 0 against.
All right, Councilmember Withers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Could we open the public hearing, please?
Declare the public hearing open. We're on RS 2022-1690. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of this resolution. Okay. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this resolution. Any hands in opposed? Okay. Nobody's opposed. Would you like to speak, sir? Okay. Name, address, 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name's Kevin Copeland. I live at 1109 57th Avenue North. I'm representing 102 8th Street. I want to speak in favor of the non-owner occupied STR permit exemption within the 100 feet of the Braden Memorial United Methodist Church. We're rule followers. We understand that rule. And I want to tell you that over the last several years, as someone in the STR environment, I appreciate all the work that you guys have put into implementing rules, and we're big believers in what you're doing. This initial application for a permit was started more than 2 years ago to permit this property when it was purchased, and that actually preceded the 100-foot rule. This exemption is because the property was then destroyed by the 2020 tornado, and the owner has subsequently rebuilt the property now post 100-foot rule. So I do feel like this is one that a true exemption could be considered, and I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Copeland. Anybody else on this one? Okay, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Withers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval.
All right. Councilmember Withers moves approval of RS 2022-1690. Properly seconded. Any other discussion? Good. All right. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, ready to vote. All those in favor of RS 2022-1690 for passage, say aye. Opposed, no. There were no's? Okay. All right. So obviously people are walking around. Let's try this again by voice vote, and let's make sure we've got this right. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. All right. We're on the board because of no votes. Mr. Clerk, if you will get the machines ready. Okay, we are voting on RS 2022-1690 for passage. Machines ready? If you're in favor of the resolution, obviously you'd vote aye. If you're opposed, you'd vote no. Mr. Clerk, open up the machines. All right, we are voting. Councilmember Allen? Yep. We are voting on RS 2022-1690. The motion is to pass. You're voting up or down on the passage. Simple majority, right? The resolution.
You're back there.
Yes.
That's okay. Councilmember Vercher? We are voting on RS 2022-1690 for passage. Ken? All right. All votes are in. Mr. Clerk, close the machine. Take the votes. It's ayes 19, noes 10, 3 abstention. The resolution passes. Okay. All right, we are now on our consent resolutions and resolutions. We have a bunch of these. So we'll go through them one at a, I'll go through the list of resolutions on the consent agenda. Let me know if anything needs to be bumped off. The first one on the consent agenda is number 7, RS 2022-1691. That is on consent. 1693, item number 9, is on consent. The next one is item number 16, RS 2022-1700 is on consent. 1701 on consent. 1702 on consent. 1703 on consent. 1704 on consent. 1705 on consent. 1706 on consent. 1707 on consent. 1708 on consent, 1709 on consent, 1710 on consent, 1711 on consent. Then we jump over to item number 30. 1714 is on consent. 1715 is on consent. Item number 32, 1716 is on consent. 1717 is on consent. 1718 is on consent. 1719 is on consent. 1720 is on consent. We jump over to 1722 is on consent. 1723 is on consent. 1725 is on consent. 1726 is on consent. 1727 is on consent. 1728 is on consent. And 1730 is on consent. Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to remove 1726 from consent.
Okay, certainly. Okay. So item number 42, RS 2022-1726 is taken off. Anybody else needs to bump anything off the consent calendar? Okay, here we go. These are the items on the consent calendar. And remember, if something needs to be bumped off, let me know. Item number 7 is the first one, RS 2022-1691 by Parker Allen and others. Resolution approving amendments to 2 grant contracts for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2019-1861 between the Metropolitan Government acting through the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and certain nonprofit organizations. Item number 9, RS 2022-1693 by Allen, a resolution accepting the terms of a cooperative purchasing master agreement for Polaris off-road vehicles, utility task vehicles, and all-terrain vehicles. The next one we skip over is on item number 16, RS 2022-1700 by Allen, Welsh, Suara, and Stiles. It's a resolution accepting a grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metropolitan Government through Metro Social Services to provide delivered meals to eligible seniors in their homes and in congregate meal sites throughout Davidson County. RS 2022-1701 by Allen and Welsh. Resolution approving the Second Amendment to an agreement between the Metropolitan Government and WellSky Corporation to provide a homeless management information system, RS 2022-1702. Allen, Bradford, Welsh, and Stiles, a resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Arts Commission to the Metropolitan Government through the Metropolitan Arts Commission for general operating support to expand, improve, and develop the arts in Tennessee, RS 2022-1703 by Councilmember Allen. Resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claims of Dorothea Chapman against the Metropolitan Government, the amount of $25,000. That amount will be paid from the Self-Insured Liability Fund. RS 2022-1704 by Allen, Evans, and Suara. A resolution approving Amendment 1 to a Project Safe Neighborhood grant from the Tennessee Department of Finance Administration, the Metropolitan Government through the Police Department to reduce gun violence in Nashville. RS 2022-1705 by Allen, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle personal injury claim of Riatha White against the Metropolitan Government in the amount of $6,000, again out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. And RS 2022-1706 by Allen, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle personal injury claim of Marlene Woods against the Metropolitan Government, the amount of $5,815, the amount to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. Item number 23, RS 2022-1707 by Allen, Evans, Welsh, and Suara. A resolution accepting a grant for the State of Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Government through the Board of Health to use available data to identify populations at high risk for adverse consequences from substance abuse and employ evidence-based interventions that are responsive to population needs. RS 2022-1708 by Allen, Evans, and others, a resolution accepting a grant for the State of Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Government through the Board of Health to promote the proper use of all recommended vaccines and respond to vaccine-preventable diseases in collaboration with the CDC and other partners. RS 2022-1709 by Allen, Evans, Welsh, and Suara, resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Government through the Board of Health to provide an array of programs and direct patient care services to meet the public health needs of Tennessee's citizens. RS 2022-1710 by Allen, Evans, Welsh, and Suara, resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Government acting through the Metropolitan Board of Health to ensure federal preparedness funds are directed to Tennessee Regional Metropolitan Emergency Preparedness Programs to prepare for, respond to, and recover from public health threats. RS 2022-1711, that's item 27, Allen, Evans, Withers, and Suara, resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Government through the Board of Health to provide oral disease prevention services for school children in grades K through 8 in qualifying public schools. Item number 30, RS 2022-1714 by Allen, Evans, and others, a resolution approving Amendment 1 to a grant from the Tennessee Department of Human Services to the Metropolitan Government through the Metropolitan Board of Health to conduct immunization record audits for child care centers, drop-in centers, and group child care homes, ensure the safety and well-being of children and families in Tennessee. Item number 31, RS 2022-1715 by Allen, Evans, Bradford, and others, a resolution accepting a grant from the Friends of Metro Animal Care and Control to the Metropolitan Government through the Board of Health to provide funding for emergency medical care for shelter animals, safety net program to foster behavioral support training. RS 2022-1716, Alan Bradford and others, resolution accepting a grant for the Nashville Public Library Foundation to the Metro government through the Nashville Public Library to fund program manager positions to help supervise NASA capacity building and grant management focuses on integration of Nashville's vision for holistic youth development. RS 2022-1717 by Alan Bradford, Welsh, and others, resolution accepting a Wishing Share Productions grant for the Nashville Public Library Foundation to the Metropolitan government through the Public Library to fund puppeteers to help with education outreach by providing puppet shows to daycare centers, elementary schools, and Head Start facilities. RS 2022-1718 by Alan Bradford and others, resolution accepting a grant for the Nashville Public Library Foundation to the Metropolitan government through the Public Library to fund education and literacy programs to provide literacy initiatives that emphasizes the importance of developing literacy skills by educating teachers, children, and parents. Item number 35, RS 2022-1719 by Alan Bradford, Welsh, and Sawara, resolution accepting a grant for the Nashville Public Library Foundation and the Metropolitan government through the Public Library to fund program coordinator positions for the Votes for Women and Archives digitization program divisions to facilitate ongoing programming and continued digitization of audiovisual materials. RS 2022-1720, Alan Bradford and Welsh, a resolution accepting a system-wide programming grant for the Nashville Public Library Foundation to the Metropolitan government through the Nashville Public Library to fund a program coordinator to facilitate performers, program supplies, and foundation equipment. We skip over to item number 38, RS 2022-1722 by Syracuse, Withers, and others. This is a resolution approving Amendment 2 to a Transportation Alternatives Program, a TAP grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metropolitan government through the Parks and Recreation Department to provide funding for the construction of a multimodal path and elevated boardwalk from the Cumberland River pedestrian bridge to the Opera Mills complex. RS 2022-1723 by O'Connell, Withers, and Young, resolution authorizing LMC Town Property Owner LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 808 Garfield Street. Item number 41, RS 2022-1725 by Allen and Young, resolution approving an agreement between the United States Department of the Army and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County for Phase 7 of the Flood Preparedness Study in Davidson County, Tennessee. RS 2022-1727 by Syracuse, Swope, Murphy, and others, a resolution honoring the life of retired Chief of Police Joe D. Casey. RS 2022-1728 by Sawara, Hurt, Johnston, and others, a resolution honoring the life of singer and actress Shanka Dakura. And last one is RS 2022-1730 by Gamble, Taylor, Sawara, and others. It's a resolution recognizing August as National Black Business Month in Nashville and Davidson County. All right, anything that needs to be bumped off of the consent calendar? All right, seeing none, we're ready for some committee reports. The first one up is Affordable Housing. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized. There you go.
Could you remind me which of these were on the consent agenda, please?
Certainly 1691, and I think that's the only one you've got on there.
Thank you. So affordable housing considered 1691. We recommended approval 7-4 and 0 against.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized for Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered many bills, many resolutions, and approved most of them, 11 in favor, 0 against. Those were RS 2022-1691, 1693, 1700, 1701, 1702, 1703, 1704, 1705, 1706, 1707, 1708, 9, 10, and 11. Skipping a few, 1714, 1715, 1716, 1717, 1718, 1719, and 1720. And 1722, and we recommended approval of RS 2022-1725, 10 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Welsh, Human Services.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Human Services considered RS 2022-1700 and voted to approve 6 in favor, 0 against. We also considered 1701 and voted to approve 5 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Let's see, Councilmember Withers, you've got 1, right?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Committee met and considered Resolution RS 2022-1723, and we recommended approval, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
All right, thank you. Public Facilities, Councilmember Bradford.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Facilities, we had RS 2022-1702, 1716, 1717, 1718, 1719, 1720, 1722. We all voted 6 in favor, none against for approval.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Evans, Public Safety.
Public Health and Safety heard 1704, 1707, 1708, 1709, 1710, 1711, 1714, 1715, and we voted 6 in favor, 0 against for each of those.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Murphy, rules.
Thank you. Resolution 2022-1727, 1728, 1729, 1730, 8 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. And I've got 2 last ones for my friend from Goodlettsville, Councilmember Young.
Your friend from Goodlettsville? Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought there was one in here, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, you're the friend who was at Chef's Market the other day and didn't invite me. But anyway, I digress.
It was really good. Thank you.
The 2 resolutions that came before transportation were recommended for approval, 6 in favor, 0 against, and I'll move the consent resolution.
Do you know which ones they were?
I do. I believe one of them was 1723 and the other was 17 something.
25.
There was a bit of a issue of a missing committee report, but it was lost, but now it is found.
But now it has been found at 1725. All right,
Vice Mayor.
So I got a motion to approve the consent resolution calendar. Properly seconded. Any discussion on the consent agenda for resolutions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes. Consent agenda is approved. All right, so we are now back on resolutions that are not on the consent, that were not on the consent agenda. Go all the way back to, it's page 5 of my agenda. It's the first one up. It's number 5. It's RS 2022-1633 by Councilmember Hall. It's a resolution requesting the creation of a task force as described to initiate a study to determine the 5 most probable locations for potential waste transfer stations within the county to be completed no later than July 31st, 2023. Councilmember Hall, you're recognized.
Committee report, please.
All right. They're all in. All the committee reports are in on this one.
Move for approval.
All right, so the motion is to approve. We're on RS 2022-1633, properly second. I was going to tell you, it was disapproved by transportation. The motion is to approve 1633. Discussion, do you want any discussion, Councilmember Hall?
So just a quick recap that this is actually just a study. We do them constantly. We do them every week. This is no different than any other. Anyone that thinks we're not in an emergency scenario or a situation when it comes to our waste only had to see the news just in this past week, what was happening with Middle Point up in Rutherford County. We have to figure out what we're going to do with Nashville's waste, whether it be C&D or household. And so this is just one more tool for our toolbox to get some accurate information, figure out the best steps to take forward. We have to continue to aggressively take the solid waste regional plan and try to implement those things in the Metro Code. And so this is just, again, just a study, more information so that we know how to move forward in the best effort.
All right, thank you, Council Member. Got a couple of people in the queue. Councilmember Nash, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I agree with Councilmember Hall that we are on the cusp of needing a real discussion about our waste. When we heard from Waste Services, it was not for lack of transfer stations. We have those already being used for every bit of waste we have here. And I was hoping the sponsor was going to come back with an amendment that we would be studying, meeting with our trash haulers to see what kind of plans they have for when Middle Point shuts down. Where else are we going to be able to take our trash so that we don't end up, as he mentions, kind of at the last minute? I just don't see the value in this particular study. I think the study should be where are we going to take our trash, not the transfer station.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Nash. Councilor Murphy, you're next.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I had some concerns about this in Planning Committee, and ultimately did vote for it, and then I've changed my mind. I don't think that I can support this right now because I think that there needs to be a lot more thought and detail into this just being a study. This isn't just a study. If we identify where trash or waste transfer stations should go, that's going to impact those property owners in that area, investments in that area, and disinvestments in that area. And I think that this is a kind of a private corporation type of situation that, yes, oftentimes it is somewhat of a quasi-public service, quasi-governmental service, but I am not fully comfortable with us identifying certain places based on their current zoning. That zoning could change. Also, there may be a more ideal site that is not zoned for a waste transfer station at this time. And as Public Works and Planning alluded to in the committee, they aren't going to be looking at sites based on other zoning. So just looking at the sites zoned for a transfer station now. If we're gonna look at sites, let's look at the best site for a transfer station in Nashville, regardless of the zoning, and then maybe change the zoning. At the end of the day, I think that there's a lot more detail than this being just a study and has a lot more impacts than just a study.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Murphy. Councilmember Young.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I still struggle to understand what's trying to be accomplished with this, because we don't have a problem with waste transfer stations. We have a problem of where that waste goes. And I think, if anything, this is potentially going to cause some communities to feel targeted or concerned that if they're identified as and I don't even know what metrics or why we would want to identify where a waste transfer station goes, that's going to cause unneeded concern by some communities. If maybe one area is said to be, oh, this would be a great site for one. I mean, I'm at a complete loss as to what this is even trying to accomplish, because we don't need to find somewhere to transfer our waste. We have transfer stations already, and when I say we, I mean just here in the county, not we as a government. I just feel like this is, honestly, and not to use a double entendre, but I will. I just feel like this is kind of a waste of time and effort by department staff or whatnot, and frankly, maybe our time at council. So I will certainly be voting no, because I just don't understand what on earth this even is. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Bradford.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So I can't support this, and in committee, I mentioned I support the intent. We know that we are on the cusp of a major trash issue in not just Nashville, but Middle Tennessee. So I believe we should be spending our time and resources in looking at ways to reduce the amount of trash that we are sending to landfills, to increase what we are recycling, what we are composting, what we are reusing, so that we don't have to increase the number of transfer stations, but reduce them. I believe that this resolution, while with very good intentions, is going to lead to an increase in the problem. By increasing the number of transfer stations, that's going to increase the amount of trash we send off. What we need to be doing is going the opposite direction and reducing our trash, increasing our recycling, increasing our composting, increasing and in many ways as possible, diverting our waste and reusing it and recycling it, and not sending it to a landfill. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you, Council Member. Got more people in the queue. Councilmember Cash, you're recognized.
Previous question.
Councilmember Cash has called the previous question, so we're voting on the previous question. All those in favor of the previous question say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Previous question prevails. We are on the board. So we are voting on RS 2022-1633 by Councilmember Hall. If you're for the measure, you would vote aye. If you're against, you would vote no. Mr. Clerk, tell me when you're ready. Mr. Clerk, open up the machines. Again, you're voting on RS 2022-1633 for passage. If you're for it, you'd vote aye. If you're against, you'd vote no. Okay. All the votes are in. Mr. Clerk, close machines, take the vote. Ayes 8, noes 26, 1 abstention. The resolution fails. All right. 6-1. All right, we're on the next item, item number 6, RS 2022-1684 by Councilmember Hall. It's a resolution supporting District 1, the Bordeaux community and its residents, and condemning any future environmentally unsound infrastructure development and services in the district. Councilmember Hall, you are recognized. Jacob.
Committee report.
Okay. Rules and confirmations, Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. For the second time, this has been deferred by rule.
Okay. Can't defer it 2 times by rule. So, Councilor Murphy, you can only defer once by rule.
I think Council Lady Vercher had brought that up, and Ms. Darby decided that deferring by rule was the, no, now I'm getting a, it's, well,
You can move to defer. There was no automatic deferral by rule 2 times in a row. That only applies 1 time, according to the rule.
Okay, so I did ask in committee if we needed to make a different motion, and that we were told we did not. So at this point, I guess there is no recommendation, which means that it cannot be taken up on the floor.
Well, so Councilman Rosenberg has his hand waving, so I'm going to recognize him. Of course. What happened, Councilman Rosenberg?
Thank you. Resolution can't move forward without any sort of committee recommendation.
I believe I just said that, Councilman Rosenberg.
You want to defer it?
My point, no. Thank you.
Right, it's got a recommendation. And okay, so
no recommendation.
So we're double checking, but it's my understanding if it's been deferred once automatically by rule, that's it. But it also, in order to move, it has to have a committee recommendation. Well, no. So what we've got is, I think it would have to defer because it has no committee recommendation. You could either move to suspend the rules, or you could just ask to defer 1 meeting because it doesn't have a recommendation at this point. So I'm going to go back to Councilmember Hall. What would you like to do with your resolution?
So, yeah, that was the understanding that it couldn't move forward without a recommendation, so it was going to be moved to defer 1 meeting.
So if your motion is to defer 1 meeting, that's a proper motion. So defer 1 meeting, properly seconded. Any questions on the deferral motion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. It's a motion to defer 1 meeting. All those in favor of the motion to defer 1 meeting say aye. Opposed, no. This one's deferred 1 meeting. Thank you, Councilmember Hall. Okay. All right, next one up is RS 2022-1692. It's item number 8 by Parker, Allen, Welsh, and Suara. Resolution to approve the 3rd amendment to a grant contract for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2019-1861 between the Metropolitan government acting through the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and Affordable Housing Resources. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized on this one.
Thank you. I'll begin with the committee report.
All right, Budget and Finance, Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval.
So sorry, you weren't fast enough.
Let me talk faster. 11 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. Back to you, Councilmember Parker, for affordable housing.
Affordable housing recommended 7-4, 0 against, and I will move to approve.
Okay, the motion is to approve RS 2022-1692, properly seconded. Councilmember Van Rees. I believe you have to
I need to abstain from this one, thank you.
So Councilmember Van Rees will be listed as abstaining. The motion is to approve. Again, properly seconded. Nobody in the queue. All those in favor of RS 2022-1692, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. This one's adopted. Van Rees will be listed as abstaining. All right, item number 10, RS 2022-1694. And I believe we may be able to take these with RS 2022-1695. I think the same thing is going to happen to both. These are both by Councilmember Allen. 1694, initial resolution authorizing and providing for the issuance and sale of water and sewer revenue bonds in aggregate principal amount not to exceed $315 million of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville, Davidson County. And RS 2022-1695, it's a resolution supplementing and amending substitute resolution number RS 2010-1442 to authorize execution terms of the delivery of a loan agreement by and between the Metropolitan Government and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, pursuant to which a loan will be provided in the principal amount not to exceed $315 million, providing for the financing of certain water and sewer system projects of the Metropolitan Government, authorize the execution terms, issuance, sale, and payment of one or more water and sewer revenue bonds. So both of these are by Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I believe both of these are deferred one meeting by Rule 54. Is that the right rule number? 21, Rule 21. And re-referred to the Budget Committee. So I move for one meeting deferral and re-referral to the Budget Committee.
Okay, so I think it's an automatic deferral of one meeting. Is that right? Is that what happens? So you have to make the motion. For these kind of resolutions. Just automatic deferral, okay? So both of them will be deferred one meeting.
And re-referred.
And go back to Budget and Finance, okay. All right, item number 12, RS 2022-1696 by Sepulveda, Gamble, Parker, and others. It's a resolution appropriating $25 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds from Fund 30216, the Metropolitan Development and Housing Authority, to provide low-cost loans to developers for the addition of deeply affordable housing units. Loans proceeds to be used to address affordable housing and homeless services. Councilmember Sepulveda, you're recognized on RS 2022-1696.
Vice Mayor, can we take all of the ARP items together?
Yeah, unless there's an objection, we'll take them all together. Anybody got a problem with that? So we're going to take 1696, 1697, 1698, and 1699 all together? Okay. All right, let me read the rest of them. This is item number 13, RS 2022-1697 by Sepulveda, Gamble, and others. A resolution appropriating $9 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds from Fund 30216, the Metropolitan Homeless Impact Division of Metro Social Services, to build capacity in Housing First Case Management Services, including establishing assertive community treatment teams, RS 2022-1698. Sepulveda, Gamble, Parker, and others, a resolution appropriating $9 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds from Fund 30216 to the Metro Homeless Impact Division of Metro Social Services for temporary interim gap housing, and RS 2022-1699, also by Sepulveda, Gamble, Parker, and others, resolution appropriating $7 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds from Fund 30216 to the Metro Homeless Impact Division of Social Services to establish a low barrier housing collective and to fund competitive grants for support services. Councilmember Sepulveda, you recognized on all four of those resolutions.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Okay, affordable housing reports on all four. Councilmember Parker, you recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Affordable Housing recommended a deferral to the first meeting in October, 8 in favor, 0 against. And if I may ask a point of order, if it's appropriate, will these be automatically referred back to that committee, or do we need to move that here, or do I need to request that via email, or?
Yeah, Ms. Darby, you can answer, but they'll all go back.
Go back to the committee, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that's, it was deferral to October 1st for all four of the resolutions, correct?
First meeting in October, yes,
okay.
Sir.
First meeting in October. All right. Councilmember Allen, you recognized from Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance voted 11 in favor, 0 against, deferral to October 4th, which is the first meeting in October, and a re-referral to the Budget Committee.
All right. Thank you. On all four, and Human Services had a couple of them. Councilmember Welsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. We considered 1697, 1698, and 1699, and we voted to defer to the first meeting in October, 6 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Welsh. Councilmember Sepulveda on all four resolutions.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I wanted to move to defer to the first meeting in October with a brief comment.
Okay, this is a resolution to defer all these four. It's items 12, 13, 14, and 15 to the first meeting in October, properly seconded. Back to you.
Thank you. I know that several council members had concerns. In our committee meetings, we did say if you had any questions to please submit those to the council office by the end of the month. Would be great to give them time to answer those when they bring that back to us. And with that, I would move for a deferral to the first meeting in October.
Okay. Again, Councilmember Sepulveda has moved those 4 resolutions to be deferred to the first meeting in October, properly seconded. Any discussion on the deferral motion? Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to say I appreciate the very robust discussion we had in Budget and Finance on these. As we've heard from our public speaker earlier tonight, this is an important issue. I've served on a number of different committees that have worked either for affordable housing or to deal with homelessness. And so often we say we can solve this problem, but we need funding. And this is a lot of funding, which I hope we can figure out ways to use very effectively. So I would ask council members to use these 6 weeks that we've asked for very robustly, and to ask your questions and to send in suggestions so that when we come back in October that we've got something that we can put to solving the issue of homelessness in Nashville. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Anybody else on these, on the deferral motion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. This is a motion to defer items 12, 13, 14, and 15 to the first meeting in October. Again, it was properly seconded. All those in favor of the deferral motion say aye. Opposed, no. Did I hear a no? Okay. All right. So the deferral motion passes. Councilmember Evans voted no. Anybody else vote no on this one? Okay, Councilmember Evans votes no, but the deferral motion on those 4 pass. All right, we are on items. Item number 28. RS 2022-1712 by Councilmember Allen, Evans, and Welsh. It's a resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan government through the Board of Health to provide viral hepatitis program services aimed at prevention, testing, diagnosis, surveillance, and linkage to treatment and other support services. Allen, Evans, and Welsh are the sponsors. Councilmember Allen, you are recognized on RS 2022-1712.
Committee reports, please.
All right. Public Health and Safety, Councilmember Evans, you're recognized.
We considered this resolution and voted 6 in favor, 0 against.
Okay. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance considered. I had this one down on consent, so let me flip back to our vote. I'm pretty sure it was 11 in favor, 0 against. I'm sorry, it was 10 in favor, 1 abstention by Councilmember Hurt.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Allen, motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Councilmember Allen moves to approve RS 2022-1712, properly seconded. Any discussion? And Councilmember Hurt is going to be listed as abstaining on this one. Okay, seeing no discussion, all those in favor of RS 2022-1712 for passage say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And Councilmember Hurt abstains. We're on item number 29, RS 2022-1713, Allen, Evans, Welsh, and Bradford. Resolution approving Amendment 1 to a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to Metropolitan Government through the Board of Health to provide HIV/AIDS core medical services and early intervention services. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilmember Evans, Public Health and Safety.
We considered this resolution and voted in favor, 6 in favor, 0 against.
Okay. Councilmember Allen, Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This is 1713.
1713.
Okay. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 10 in favor, 1 not voting.
All right. And Councilmember Allen, a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
All right. Properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Hurt will be listed as abstaining. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of RS 2022-1713 for passage say aye. Opposed, no. And 1 abstention, Councilmember Hurt. All right, we are on item number 37, RS 2022-1721. Councilmember O'Connell, Allen, and Bradford, resolution accepting in-kind from the Metropolitan Department of Development and Housing Agency to the Metropolitan Government through the Board of Parks and Recreation to provide procurement and construction management services for Cossey Gardner Senior Park. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to withdraw this. Do I need to get committee reports before that?
No, if you just withdraw,
just withdraw the bill.
Okay.
Or the resolution.
Resolution is withdrawn. Okay, we're on RS 2022-1724 by Young, Allen, Syracuse, and Stiles. bills. This is a resolution adopting the Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure's Vision Zero Action Plan and Vision Zero 5-year implementation plan, pledging to support the Metropolitan government's effort to achieve zero traffic deaths and serious injuries on Nashville's roadways. Young, Allen, Syracuse, and Siles are the sponsors. Councilmember Young, this is your resolution. You're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 11 in favor, 0 against.
And the Transportation Infrastructure Committee recommended approval, 6 in favor, 3 against, and 0 abstentions, and I will move for approval.
Okay. So Councilmember Young has moved for approval of RS 2022-1724 for passage. Properly seconded. Discussion on the resolution. Councilmember Young, the vote was 6-4, 3 against in your committee?
That's correct, Vice Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Henderson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I really do want to acknowledge all our Public Works, now NDOT staff that worked on this plan that went across kind of multiple administrations. Several members of this body worked on the task force that was then called a steering committee that was also called an advisory committee. Councilman O'Connell, myself, I know Council Lady Hurt was there, Ms. Allen, and I think Mr. Mendez as well. 3 of the votes against this in committee were 3 of your colleagues that served on this task force, and that is not because we do not support Nashville being a Vision Zero city, nor because we do not appreciate the good work that has gone into this plan, of which there are many good parts. Some great new data, the high injury network, safe routes to schools. But they are, colleagues, I feel like, disparate parts. This is a action plan with a 5-year window that has no actions in it, really. So then we have a subsequent implementation plan, the action plan that is also a 5-year plan. But this horizon for these goals, which are unclear other than zero traffic deaths, is 2050. And that is, in my view, too far out in the future. From discussion in committee today, apparently, you know, it's a kind of living, breathing plan that can be updated and we can change that 2050. But I just feel like this plan is not yet where it needs to be. If you read it in its entirety, which I have, both parts of the plan, kind of top to bottom, it is, colleagues, a plan that I worry comparative to the first walk and bike strategic plan on which I served on the steering committee and chaired the policy committee. It is so far away from the kind of effectiveness and clarity of that plan. I think it will be very difficult for us as a body to track the implementation of this plan, the goals, and so I await further discussion, but I am not going to be able to support this at this time, reluctantly and sadly, even though I very much work in really all my policy work to try to deliver this safety on our streets. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like Councilmember Henderson said, I was a no vote on committee, and something that Director Alicon said in committee is going to persuade me to be a reluctant yes on the floor because I share many of Councilmember Henderson's concerns. I do, first and foremost, expect us to be a Vision Zero city, not just want us. I expect us to be, given the number of pedestrian and cyclist fatalities we are seeing on our streets right now, and the curve is moving in the wrong direction. The problem is getting worse. Just a few years ago, several of us stood down under the observation tower next to dozens of pairs of empty shoes representing the deaths of people who had died on our streets. And it should have recommitted us to the concept of Vision Zero. But in the years since, in District 19 alone, we have not seen any improvements to the Korean Veterans Boulevard Bridge. We have not seen improvements to 8th Avenue South. We have not seen improvements to the Jefferson Street Bridge. We have not seen pedestrian improvements across Jefferson Street from Germantown to the Capitol Mall corridor. We have not seen improvements to KVB itself. We have not seen improvements to James Robertson Parkway or Woodland Street bridges. We have not seen improvements to Roselle Parks Boulevard, which I have seen multiple plans for 15 years. We have not seen improvements to Demumbrian Hill, which has been grinding in the gears for 7 years, where we get told over and over again, we're seeing a new plan, we're seeing a new plan, we're seeing a new plan. We are still not resolving our dangerous intersections. The same administration that is asking us to consider this also asked us to consider a capital spending plan with $15 million in parking for a private facility on Nolensville Road without any consideration for Vision Zero improvements to that road. That was while this plan was being drafted. So right now today, even in looking at this to get federal funding, it's very difficult for me to assume that this plan is going to do anything, especially when its target date is out there in 2050. In 28 years, I'll be lucky to be able to ride a bicycle, much less, I mean, I'll feel a little bit of triumph if I'm a successful pedestrian in 28 years from now, and that's one of those things, though, that we need to be designing cities for ages 8 to 80. The likelihood of actual transformation here is, I hope, embedded in the statement from Director Alicon, who said everything we touch will be filtered through this lens, I hope, after passage of this resolution. But right up until this, we just put West End and Broadway back exactly as they were with no Vision Zero improvements. We just put a stretch of Charlotte back exactly as it was with no Vision Zero improvements. And what we need is not the vision, we need the action. So I'm a reluctant yes on this, and I will continue fighting for the action that our pedestrians and cyclists need. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. Councilmember Swope.
Call the question.
All right, Councilmember Swope has called the previous question. All those in favor of the previous question say aye.
Yep.
Opposed, no. I think the previous question prevails, but just to be on the safe side, let's go on the board. All right, so Mr. Clark. We're voting on the previous question. We are voting on the previous question. Okay.
I don't have the ability.
We've got it. Okay. We've got our calculator ready. It's a 2/3 vote of those individuals voting. Okay. Right, Mr. Clark, you ready? Open up the machines. Oh, Sandra's not back there. Oh, there she is. Okay. So you've got, what, 37 people? Councilmember Vercher? And 2/3. Everybody in? Okay. Mr. Clerk, close machines. Let's take the votes. Get the calculators ready. Ayes 30, no 7. We don't need the calculators. Yeah, the previous question prevails. So, but we had it ready to go. So we're ready to vote on RS 2022-17. 24. Okay, and because there's negative votes, we're going to have to go on the machine. Okay, again, we're on RS 2022-1724. The motion is to approve. This is dealing with the Vision Zero Action Plan and Vision Zero 5-year implementation plan. Previous question prevailed, so we are voting on RS 2022-1724 for passage. Mr. Clerk, tell me when you're ready. Obviously, if you're for the resolution, you'd vote aye. If you're against, you'll vote no. Okay, ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, open up the machines. Councilmember Pulley? Councilmember Pulley? Councilmember Murphy, Councilmember Johnston, leave him alone. Let him vote. Okay. Everybody's in? Mr. Clerk, close machines, take the vote. So ayes 27, no 7, 2 abstentions. RS 2022-1724 passes. Right? All right, our next resolution is item number 42, RS 2022-1726, a resolution honoring the life of Darrell S. Freeman Sr. This is sponsored by Councilmember Hurt, Lee, Vercher, Toombs, and a host of members of the Metro Council. Councilmember Hurt, you are recognized on RS 2022-1726.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee report, please.
Committee reports, Councilmember Murphy. She's still talking to Councilmember Pulley. Councilmember Murphy, rules. We're on RS 2022-1726.
8 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Yes, I'd like to move for approval with a brief comment.
All right, Councilmember Hurt has moved for approval, properly seconded. Back to you.
I first want to thank council members for signing on to the proclamation that was presented at Mr. Freeman's funeral, and I know that his passing took place a month or so ago. But I know the Nashville Business Journal has done a great job in outlining and celebrating his life, but I think it should be a matter of record that the Metro Council also honors and celebrate the life that he lived and all of the things that he did for the city of Nashville. And of course, you know, I'm all about recognizing and celebrating the Black excellence that we have in this city, and particularly those that are alive, as we did with Mr. Jenkins earlier. But I could not let this time pass without us going on record, so I would ask that anyone voting in the affirmative sign on to the resolution so it can be a recorded document of this council celebrating and honoring the life of Darrell Freeman.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Hurt. Without objection, everybody voting in the affirmative will be listed as a sponsor. Any other discussion on the resolution? We are voting on RS 2022-1726, which is a resolution honoring the life of Darrell S. Freeman Sr. All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Resolution passes. Everybody will be listed as a sponsor. Thank you, Councilmember Hart. We are now on RS 2022-1729. That's item number 45. This is by Councilmember Rosenberg. Hold on just a second. This is a resolution honoring Bobby Medley upon the occasion of his retirement as voting machine technician at the Davidson County Election Commission. Councilmember Rosenberg, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee report, please.
Councilmember Murphy, this is yours. Rules.
8 in favor, 0 against, and I'd strongly recommend a Murphy motion on this one.
Councilmember Rosenberg, it's up to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Noted. Bobby Medley has been with the Election Commission for the last 40 years. We've got a lot of folks over there that work to make our elections happen. The voting machines don't just show up at our 181, I think, precincts and make their way back, and precincts don't come knocking on the door begging to be polling places, and the data doesn't get crunched and all those things just by chance. There are some incredible people over there, and Bobby is one of them. Outside of being an incredibly nice and helpful person, he's been part of every election for 40 years now. He started as a voting machine technician assistant. He's been working the voting machines forever. He's the reason that, or a big reason why they were able to hunt down all the precincts that they needed to when redistricting happened in time for the May election. There's a new polling place in my district that was hesitant because they didn't want a bunch of signs and stuff at the church when Friday morning comes around. So he's there overnight picking up the yard signs over there, and he makes sure that every church has all their voting machines gone by Sunday, every election. It's going to be a huge loss for the Election Commission. I'm thrilled for him that he's retiring, but I'm kind of bummed about it and just really appreciate it. And I move approval of this and thank him.
All right, Councilmember Rosenberg has moved approval of RS 2022-1729. Properly seconded. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Resolution passes. We have one late file resolution. This is by Councilmember Bradford. It's a resolution honoring the life of former Councilmember Ray Carl Birch. Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I believe I'll have to suspend the rules.
Yep. Councilmember Murphy, did this come before you all?
It did, and due to the timing of the memorials and funerals, we had no problem with it.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Murphy. Councilmember Bradford, need to move to suspend the rules.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move to suspend the rules.
All right. Councilmember Bradford has moved to suspend the rules to get this late file resolution before us. Any objection to suspending the rules? Seeing none, rules are suspended. You're on your resolution.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. As we all found out this past Friday, former District 13 council member Carl Birch passed away after a battle with cancer. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to honor his commitment to our community in District 13 and his service to our city. So with that, I ask my colleagues to support this. And I also ask that we apply the Murphy Rule, Murphy Law, Murphy Method, Murphy Mandate, whatever we want to call it today.
All right, so the motion is to approve. It's been properly seconded. We'll get a committee report. Councilor Murphy, on the Rules Committee, did you all vote on this one?
We did. We were 8 in favor, 0 against.
All right, so we do have a committee through it. All right, so the motion is to approve this late file resolution honoring the life of former council member Carl Birch. All those in voting in the affirmative will be listed as a sponsor. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on this one? Councilmember Bradford, I noticed that I served with Councilmember Birch. He was voted as best hair on the council. Yeah, he did have the best hair on the council. All right, so all those in favor of the resolution regarding former Councilmember Carl Birch say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution passes. Thank you, Councilmember Bradford. All right, that completes all the resolutions on the calendar tonight. We have bills on introduction, first reading. We'll take them all at the same time. Anything needs to be bumped off of this one? All right, I need a motion to approve bills on introduction, first reading. Got a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're voting on bills on introduction, first reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All bills on introduction, first reading pass. We are now on bills on second reading. There's a couple bills on our consent agenda for second reading. Go through those real quick. Item number 53, BL 2022-1380 is on consent. Item number 59, BL 2022-1386 is on consent. 1388 is on consent, 1389 on consent, 1390 is on consent, 1391 is on consent, 1392 on consent, and 1393 on consent. Anything needs to be bumped off the consent calendar for second reading? All right, seeing none, let's go through those. Item number 53, BL 2022-1380, Stiles and Suara. Ordinance amending section 2.178.010 of the Metropolitan Code to add property to the South Nashville Central Business Improvement District for Metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee. And then item number 59, BL 2022-1386 by Suara, Welsh, and Stiles. This is an ordinance approving a contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Mayor's Office of the United Way of Middle Tennessee to provide financial counseling and other financial education activities to low-income residents in accordance with the Financial Empowerment Center program model. BL 2022-1388 by Toombs, Withers, and Young. Ordinance to amend the GIS system street and alley centerline layer for the Metropolitan Government by abandoning a portion of alley number 1089 right-of-way between Haney Avenue and Woodfolk Avenue. I've got BL 2022-1389 by Toombs, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to accept and adjust sanitary sewer manholes for property located at 1406 Brick Church Pike. BL 2022-1390 by Taylor, Withers, and Young. That's an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to accept sanitary sewer manholes for two properties located at 1919 and 1928 9th Avenue North, also known as the Clay Street Common. BL 2022-1391, that's item 63 by Rutherford, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assembly, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements. Property located at Old Hickory Boulevard, unnumbered, also known as Evergreen Hills Phase 2A. BL 2022-1392, O'Connell, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to accept new sanitary sewer main and sanitary sewer manholes for property located at 1018 B Jefferson Street, also known as Jefferson Street Townhomes. BL 2022-1393, Sledge, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to accept new sanitary sewer main and sanitary sewer manholes for two properties located at 414-416 Mallory Street, also known as Mallory Street Townhomes. Those are the items on the second reading consent calendar. Anything needs to be bumped off? Seeing none, committee reports. Councilmember Allen, you've got budget and finance. You got a couple.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval of Bill BL 2022-1380, 10 in favor, 0 against, and
you got 1386.
1386, 8 in favor, 0 against.
Okay, Councilmember Withers, planning.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Planning and Zoning Committee met and we considered ordinances BL 2022-1388, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, and we recommended approval of each of those 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
All right, and the last committee is Transportation. Councilmember Young.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We recommended the following items. Let's see.
1388 is
I think 6 in favor, 0 against, and that would be BL 2022-1388, 1389, 1390, 1391, 1392, and 1393. And I will move approval of the second reading consent agenda.
All right, I've got a motion properly seconded. Any discussion on the second reading consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You pass the second reading consent agenda. All right, let's go back and pick up the bills on second reading that are not on consent. First one is item number 51, BL 2022-1344 by Councilmember Hall. Ordinance amending Title V of the Metropolitan Code to establish the development impact fee. And we're looking for Councilmember Hall. You think he's out there? Oh, okay. All right, while we're waiting, we'll pick up item number 52, BL 2022-1379, ordinance to amend Title II of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to create the Nashville Entertainment Industry Board. Councilmember Swope, Hurt, Hall, and others are the sponsors. Councilmember Swope, you're recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the behest of the Mayor's Office, and in light of the fact that we've called a stakeholders meeting on August 30th of this month to be held at the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation offices, I would like to defer this for one meeting.
All right, let's get some committee reports in first.
Sorry, committee reports.
Public facilities, Councilmember Bradford.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Facilities voted 6 in favor, none against for a one-meeting deferral.
All right, and Councilmember Allen, Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended a one-meeting deferral, 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
All right, now Councilmember Swope.
And, Your Honor, I would renew my motion for a one-meeting deferral.
Okay, so Councilmember Swope has moved this one meeting, properly seconded. Any discussion on this one, on the deferral motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral motion of one meeting, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. This one is deferred one meeting. Okay. All right, back to BL 2022-1344 by Councilmember Hall. Ordinance to amending Title V of the Metropolitan Code to establish the development impact fee. Councilmember Hall, you are recognized.
Withdraw.
All right, this one is withdrawn. Okay, thank you, Councilmember. All right, we're now on item number 54, BL 2022-1381. Parker, Allen, Van Rees, and others, an ordinance amending Chapter 5.04 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws requiring payments in lieu of taxes made by the Convention Center Authority be dedicated to affordable housing initiatives. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I've got a committee report. Affordable housing recommended a 2-meeting deferral, 8-4 and 0 against.
Okay, and I got a committee report from Budget and Finance. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended a 2-meeting deferral, re-referral to Budget Committee, 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'll move to defer this 2 meetings. The administration's already working on an amendment to address some of the concerns that were brought up about this bill in committee, so we'll look forward to that here in 2 meetings.
All right, the motion is to defer 2 meetings, properly seconded. Any discussion on the deferral motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral motion for 2 meetings say aye. 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 Opposed, no. This one's deferred 2 meetings. Okay. We are on BL 2022-1382 by Councilmember Syracuse. It's item number 55. It's an ordinance amending Metropolitan Code Section 5.20.100 regarding the abatement of property taxes for certain improvements or restorations made to historic properties as authorized under the provisions of the Tennessee Code annotated. Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Planning and Zoning, Councilmember Withers. We're on 1382.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. We considered the amendment and voted in favor of that, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions, and the bill as amended, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Allen, Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended the amendment, 9 in favor, 0 against, and recommended the bill as approved, 7 in favor, 0 against, and 1 not voting.
Okay, 1 not voting. Okay, Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized on your bill.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. Move approval of the amendment.
All right, so Councilmember Syracuse has an amendment on BL 2022-1382. Motion is to approve the amendment, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation of the amendment.
Thank you so much. Okay, so folks will remember when we passed this program, we put a $10 million cap on it to be conservative. That $10 million is based on value, not the abatement value. That $10 million is really about $137,000 of future abated tax revenues. So now that we've gotten the first round of applications in for this program, we want it to still be conservative on the program, but tailor it to make sure that we take care of the most immediate and endangered properties, namely 2nd Avenue. So what this amendment does is 2 things. It has a separate bucket, if you will, of a cap of $40 million to ensure that the 2nd Avenue property owners are going to invest in the materials that are more costly to ensure that the character and what's put back there is what we expect it to be. So I'm very happy that this program is going to help basically save and revive 2nd Avenue the way we expect it to. So that's what the first piece of the amendment does. The second piece, as we start to talk about overall policy regarding programs like this. This kind of takes a nod at Councilmember Allen's bill, similar to use of this kind of program, and has a reporting mechanism so that as we see that this program is being effectuated, that we can actually have some solid data and make good fiduciary responsibilities on it. So it has a reporting mechanism that is due November 30th, which is the same date as Councilmember Allen's bill. So hopefully we start building some best practices towards a policy policy regarding this. So that's the amendment, and I'd like to move for approval. Thank you.
All right, so Councilmember Syracuse has moved for approval of an amendment to Bill 2022-1382, properly seconded again. Councilmember O'Connell on the amendment? Okay. Any questions on the amendment? All right, seeing none, we're voting on the amendment to 1382. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The amendment is on. Councilmember Syracuse, you're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move approval as amended with brief comment.
All right, so I got a motion to approve 1382 as amended, properly seconded. Councilmember Syracuse.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So I explained the amendment and the additional bucket that we have specifically for 2nd Avenue. The other bucket is now going to be $20 million, and that ensures that places like the arcade, which does not have a historic overlay on it right now, they would take advantage of that. It would be saved in perpetuity. So here again, this is our once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save these properties that mean so much to the character of Nashville. So the intent overall here is to keep it a very conservative program, but focus like a laser on those immediate needs to ensure that we have that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save them. So renew my motion to approve. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think what Councilmember Syracuse did with referencing the amounts here, the property values versus the actual value of the abated taxes is pretty important to understanding how important this is. We have watched, and several of us came into office in 2015 looking at the conversation around Music Row in particular at that time with the opportunities to preserve there, and we had some wins and we had some losses for things that people think are critical to the character of Nashville. Obviously, we could not have anticipated the impact of the bombing on 2nd Avenue, but you've heard the sponsor reference two key areas of District 19, 2nd Avenue, the arcade. There are others. I've raised Music Row, the Morris Memorial Building, which we have had a tough public conversation about, and I know we've had several council members over the course of these 2 terms either bring landmarks or overlays or other tools, but this is another tool in our preservation toolkit, which, like our affordable housing toolkit, is barely withstanding some of the pressures of Nashville's growth. And if we add this to other things like transfer development rights and some of the overlay and landmark capacity that we have, I think it is going to incentivize important projects to be saved for future generations to enjoy them and to really uphold and uplift the character that Nashvillians expect in Music City, USA. So I encourage colleagues to support and thank you, and appreciate the sponsors' work on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Mendez.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. I'm not going to repeat the comments from committee yesterday. Just want to let you know that I plan to abstain.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Syracuse, back to you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I apologize. I meant to move approval and then defer 3rd reading to September 20th. Can I amend my motion? Is that okay? I want to still move.
We will let you do it in this case. So the motion is to...
I won't be here on the 6th, so I'm going to be here on the 20th, so I want to...
All right, so the motion is to approve this tonight as amended on 2nd reading, and then have 3rd reading the 2nd meeting in September? Okay. All right. Again, that's properly seconded. So again, just to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about, we're on Bill 2022-1382. The motion is to approve 1382 as amended tonight on 2nd reading and have 3rd reading on this bill at the 2nd meeting in September. Okay. All right. Councilmember O'Connell, are you back on the board? Okay, all right. Anybody else on this one? Councilmember Mendez will be abstaining on this. All right, so I think we're ready to vote. Again, it's Bill 2022-1382 as amended, approving on 2nd reading tonight, and then 3rd reading will be the 2nd meeting on September. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And then 1 abstention, Councilmember Mendez. Okay. bill passes on second reading. And we'll hear it, a third reading will be the second meeting in September. Item number 56, BL 2022-1383 by Syracuse, Evans, Allen, and others. Ordinance to amend Title 10 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to prohibit smoking and the use of vapor products in certain age-restricted venues. Councilmember Syracuse, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Public Health and Safety, Councilmember Evans.
We voted 6 in favor, 0 against, to defer to September 20th, and that's it.
So that's the second meeting in September. Okay.
That sounds like it.
All right, Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move the amendment with brief comment.
So Councilmember Syracuse moves an amendment on the bill, properly seconded. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. The amendment does two things. It basically is clarifying about that the health department has authority on enforcement of this. The second one, piece of the amendment, is that I did take a couple calls from some bars and bars really that allow are age restricted, 21 and up, and have smoking. The pragmatic thing that I decided that was fair to do was just push out the effective date of this to March 1, 2023. So it gives them 6 months to go through permitting, codes, and build, if they need to, some extension of their outdoor piece of their building, if they need to have an overhang or something, so that their customers can have a place to smoke outside. So that was with support of the health department, because by the time they get this up and running anyway, it's going to be around then, and they don't plan on, as soon as this passes, to go ahead and start slapping people with $50 fines. So this is in line with the how this is going to be implemented anyway. So with that, I move the amendment.
All right. Councilmember Syracuse has moved the amendment. Again, it was properly seconded. Questions on the amendment? Councilmember O'Connell, your button is, are you here on this one? But on the amendment or the bill? Okay. All right. So any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Amendment's adopted. Councilmember Syracuse, now.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move approval as amended with a brief comment. I'm sorry. Gosh darn it. I'm sorry. I'm going to defer. I got ahead of myself. I'm going to defer to September 20th with a brief comment.
All right. So the motion is to defer this bill as amended. Not voting it on second reading, but to defer now to the second meeting in September, properly seconded. Back to you.
I apologize. Okay, so this is something we can actually thank the state legislature for. They allowed the local municipalities to be able to put these policies in place. It is beyond time. This is not just good public policy that supports our hospitality workers, supports our musicians, but it's also a pro-business bill. The data is crystal clear. When you remove smoking, your revenues will go up. I'm very proud to be able to support this. The grassroots organization that got together to be able to pass this at the state level, pretty extraordinary group. The reason why we are going to defer this is because there's a new cannabis bar in town, as well as there's a question about hookah bars and how they could, is this really the intent to regulate them? Not really, especially this new kind of cannabis bar concept. So what we don't know is, based on the state authorizing legislation, can we actually carve out those two things? So there needs to be some research done. So because I'm not going to be here on the 6th, I'm going to defer this to the 20th. And if we need to make another amendment, then we will do so. So I renew my motion to defer to September 20th. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
So the motion is to defer to September 20th. Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the sponsor's willingness to keep working on this. I had actually been contacted by one of these businesses that's located in District 19, and I think as a co-sponsor of the bill, I think the sponsor is exactly right. We're exercising under the scope of this bill new authority, and I think I will say this as somebody who now enjoys more smoke-free establishments than we did before Governor Bredesen kind of moved us in this direction years ago. This is an opportunity to expand the number of venues that I and others will enjoy, that where the focus is not explicitly smoking. Now, there are some specialized cases emerging, and I think what I'm going to be paying attention to is I don't want to drive out of business new businesses that sort of weren't expecting this and are actually part of the intent of the experience is not to create tobacco smoke or something like that, although cigar bars do have a carve out in here. It is, again, businesses that are taking advantage of other pieces of state law that have evolved. And so I don't want to have this conflict emerge that we can't work around. So I'm paying attention to that. I do appreciate the sponsor's original intent of this and still very much support that, and just looking to see if we can allow some of these, if we have any flexibility here. So we're waiting to make a determination on that, and appreciate the sponsor.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. Councilmember Stiles, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to commend the sponsor on this bill. This is going to make life a lot easier for a lot of artists, particularly that are asthmatic or have any other health issues, and to be able to perform in a space and not worry about missing out on an opportunity because of health reasons. So thank you very much, Councilmember Syracuse.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. Anybody else? All right, the motion is to defer to the second meeting in September 20th. It's been properly seconded. We're ready to vote. All in favor of the deferral motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. This one's deferred to the second meeting in September. All right. Next bill up is item number 57 by Councilmember Rosenberg. It is an ordinance amending section 12.12.190 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws relative to traffic calming projects. Councilmember Rosenberg, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee reports, please.
Mr. Young, committee report on this one?
Vice Chair Roten has it.
Oh, Vice Chair Roten has it.
Vice Chair.
Okay. Councilmember Roten, you're recognized.
Just walked out the door on me. Say it was still there.
We're on 1384.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee moved deferral, one meeting, 7 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry for making you stand up there, Councilman Roten. So this bill aims to do a couple things related to traffic calming. One is to enable privately funded traffic calming projects. The other is to ensure a more equitable distribution around the county. Working on an amendment with NDOT and the mayor's office. So going to defer, and also I know a few other people have concerns and ideas, so I would ask you to please filter those through the council office so those can be considered as well. And I move to defer one meeting, please.
Okay. Motion is to defer one meeting, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to defer one meeting say aye. Opposed, no. Motion to defer is adopted. We're on item number 58 by Councilmember Mendez, Sledge, Withers, and others. It's an ordinance amending section 13.08.080 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws pertaining to the use of license plate scanner technology to exclude assisting with enforcing laws outlawing abortion or outlawing interstate travel to obtain an abortion as allowed use of LPR. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized on your bill.
Committee report, please.
I've got Public Health and Safety. Councilmember Evans.
Thank you. We reviewed 1385 and voted in favor, 5 in favor, 0 against, 1 abstention.
Okay. And Transportation, Councilmember Roten. I see Councilmember Young has left the room still.
All right, you got 1. Best one.
Anybody know what happened in Transportation?
It was 6-0 in favor or 7-0 in favor.
Okay. All right. I'll take the sponsor's word. All right. Councilor Mendez, back to you.
I'd like to move approval on second reading with an explanation.
All right. Councilmember Mendez has moved approval of 1385, properly seconded. Back to you.
All right. So this bill would remove the enforcement of abortion-related crimes as an allowed use of LPRs. Under the current LPR law that we passed earlier this year, investigating and prosecuting felony offenses and criminal offenses associated with violent crimes, including homicide, are an allowed use of license plate readers. Multiple states, mostly in the south of the United States, have already outlawed quote-unquote fetal homicide. These are mostly states that have outlawed abortion. In May, the state of Louisiana had its legislature introduce a law that would have expressly made abortion be homicide. And at least a dozen states make performing an abortion a felony under their state's laws. So the problem is, as we extrapolate what we see in the media after the Dobbs decision overruling Roe versus Wade, we have multiple states expressly talking about criminalizing reproductive health care, including abortion, and also expressly talking about going after people who participate in either providing or encouraging or undergoing an abortion. And under our current law that we've got passed, investigating and prosecuting felonies would be an allowed use of our LPRs. The solution is, if that sort of repressive anti-woman, anti-civil rights, inhumane reality is coming soon, and there's reason to believe, if we just listen to what some other states are saying, if that's coming, that sort of criminal enforcement shouldn't happen with the help of Metro license plate readers. This bill would add to the list of several disallowed uses of license plate readers, and it would add enforcing any abortion-related crimes to the list. So this city, no matter what the state law is in other states, whatever gets criminalized elsewhere, this city will be firmly on record as we're not going to engage in allowing our technology to be used to enforce whatever criminal laws might be passed related to choice and obtaining abortions. So with that, I'd renew the motion for approval on second reading.
All right. Councilmember Mendez has moved, again, approval of BL 2022-1385 for passes on second reading was properly seconded. Discussion on the bill on second reading. Seeing none, ready to vote. This is on second reading. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. All right. So I've got one no. Anybody else knows? Two? Okay. And abstentions. So okay, I got two abstentions, three abstentions. Okay, so I got Druffel, Nash, and Pulley as abstentions, Swope and Hall as noes. Anybody else? Okay, bill passes on second reading. All right, I think that takes care of everything on second reading. All right, now, ready for third reading consent. All right, there's a lot of them. Item number 66, 1115 is on the consent calendar, all right? Item number 69, item 1304 is on consent. 1307 is on consent. 1321, item 71 is on consent, 1321. 1352 is on consent. 1356 is on consent. 1357 is on consent. I think they're all on consent now. 1358, 1359, 1360, 1361, 1362, 1363, 1364, 1365, 1366. All right. 1366 is no longer on consent. Okay, that's the one. 1367 is on consent. 1368 is on consent. 1370 is on consent. 1372 is on consent. 1373 on consent. 1374 on consent. 1375 on consent. 1376 on consent. 1377 on consent. And 1378 is on consent. Anything else needs to be bumped off?
1115.
Which one?
1115.
Okay, hold on. All right, 1115 is no longer on consent. So, excuse me, everything is on consent except for 1115, 1250, 1270. Excuse me. And there was one, the other one was 1366. Okay, anything else needs to be bumped off? All right, here we go. The first item up is item number 69, BL 2022-1304. by Councilmember Hauser, an ordinance to amend Title 17 by amending a specific plan for property located at 505 Old Hickory Boulevard, approximately 580 feet north of Ridge Lake Parkway, zone SP 5.08 acres. Next one is BL 2022-1307 by Lee and Murphy. Ordinance to amend Title 17 by change from AR 28 SP zoning for properties located at 4395 and 4421 Maxwell Road and Maxwell Road unnumbered, 990 feet east of Lake Maxwell Drive. BL 2022-1321 by Withers, an ordinance to amend Title 17 by change from CS and IR to SP zoning for properties located at 501 and 515 Crutcher Street at the northeast corner of Crutcher Street and South 5th Street, 6.82 acres. BL 2022-1352, Murphy, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan government to relocate a fire hydrant assembly for property located at 17 White Bridge Pike, also known as Chewy's White Bridge Pike Restaurant. BL 2022-1356, Murphy, Withers, and Young. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan government to accept a new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manhole, and easements for properties located at 409 and 411 McAdoo Avenue. Item number 74, BL 2022-1357 by Taylor, an ordinance to amend Title 17 by applying a contextual overlay district to various properties located north of Buchanan Street, zone RS5, 56.33 acres. BL 2022-1358 by O'Connell, ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by changing from MUIA to SP zoning for property located at 1711 Broadway, approximately 145 feet west of 17th Avenue South. And the companion bill, item number 76, BL 2022-1359 by Councilmember O'Connell, ordinance to authorize building material restrictions requirements for BL 2022-1358, proposed specific plan zoning district located at 1711 Broadway. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. BL 2022-1360 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 by change from SCN to SP zoning for properties located at Ashland City Highway unnumbered, Clarksville Pike unnumbered, approximately 800 feet south of Abernathy Road, 20.67 acres, located within the Plan Unit Development Overlaying Corridor Design Overlay District, permitted mixed-use development. BL 2022-1361, item number 78 by Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 by canceling a Plan Unit Development Overlay District, property located at Ashland City Highway unnumbered, approximately 800 feet south of Abernathy Road, 18.2 acres on SCN, located within the Corridor Design Overlay District. BL 2022-1362 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 by canceling a portion of a Plan Unit Development Overlay District, property located at Clarksville Pike unnumbered, approximately 1,175 feet south of Abernathy Road. It's 2.47 acres zoned SCN. Next one is item number 80, BL 2022-1363 by Councilmember Pulley and Johnston. Ordinance to amend Title 17 by changing from OR 20 to SP zoning on property located at 2121 Crestmore Road, approximately 34 feet south of Hoods Hill Road. Is 1.15 acres. And the companion bill is BL 2022-1364. Ordinance to authorize building material restrictions requirements for BL 2022-1363. Propose a specific plan zoning district located at 2121 Crestmore Road. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Next one is item number 82, BL 2022-1365 by Withers. Ordinance authorizing building material restriction requirements for BL 2022-1321, a proposed specific plan zoning district located at 501 and 515 Crutcher Street, northeast corner of Crutcher Street and South 5th Street, 6.82 acres. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. Item number 84, BL 2022-1367 by Councilmember Benedict. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by change from CS to RM28 zoning. Property located at 846 East Meade Avenue, northwest corner of Emmett Avenue and East Meade Avenue. It's 0.4 acres. BL 2022-1368 by Councilmember Van Reese. An ordinance to amend Title 17 by change from R10 to OR20. Zoning on a portion of property located at 3441 Dickerson Pike, corner of South Skyline Memorial Court and Skyline Ridge Drive. Is 2.04 acres. Item number 86, BL 2022-1370 by Lee and Murphy. Ordinance to authorize building material restrictions requirements for BL 2022-1307. Proposed specific plan zoning district located at 4395 and 4421 Maxwell Road and Maxwell Road unnumbered. Proposed ordinance requires certain materials to be restricted in the construction of buildings. BL 2022-1372, Mendes, Benedict, and Welsh. Ordinance to amend Title 2, Chapter 210 of the Metropolitan Code by adding an additional requirement to Nashville's Do Better Bill. BL 2022-1373, Evans and Hancock. Ordinance to amend Chapter 10.64 of the Metropolitan Code pertaining to the Fire Prevention Code, Section 13.3.5.1 of the NFPA 101 Life Safety Code and Section 18.5.5.1 of the NFPA 1 Fire Code. Bill 2022-1374 by Councilmembers Allen and Young. Ordinance amending Metropolitan Code of Laws, Section 15.48.300, a new water meter installation inspection charge to clarify charges for services related to meters. Bill 2022-1375, an ordinance authorizing granting permanent and temporary construction easements to Piedmont Natural Gas Company on certain property owned by the Metropolitan government located at Zero County Hospital Road. That's Allen, Withers, and Young. Item number 191, Parker, Allen, Withers, and Young, BL 2022-1376. Ordinance authorizing the acquisition and conveyance of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation and condemnation for use in public projects of the Metropolitan government acting by and through NDOT and multimodal infrastructure for Dickerson Pike sidewalk improvements. BL 2022-1377 by Withers and Young, ordinance abandoning the Metropolitan government of Nashville and Davidson County, ordinance authorizing them to abandon existing sanitary sewer easement rights for property located at 1620 Corporate Place. And the last one is BL 2022-1378, Taylor, Withers and Young, ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan government to abandon existing public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and to accept new sanitary sewer main and sanitary sewer manholes for property located at 1610 Church Street, also known as the Project C Hotel. That's it. Anything needs to be bumped off of that consent calendar? Seeing none, there's a couple bills up that have, several bills up from Planning and Zoning that have committee reports. Councilmember Withers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning met and considered several of these items, including Bill 2022-1304, 1307, 1357, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, then skipping to 67 and 68 and 70. And we recommended approval of each of those 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
All right, you're the last committee report. Motion to approve.
I would love to move to approve the consent calendar.
All right, Chairman Withers moves to approve the third reading consent agenda, properly seconded. Any discussions on the third reading consent agenda? Seeing none, ready to vote. All those in favor of the third reading consent agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Third reading consent agenda passes. Okay, we are now on the last 4 bills. I think that's 4. First one is item number 66, BL 2022-1115 by Councilmembers Mendez, Rosenberg, Allen, and others. It's an ordinance amending section 13.08.080 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws pertaining to the use of license plate scanner technology to exclude assisting with immigration enforcement as an allowed use of LPRs. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
With all committee reports in, I'd like to move approval with an explanation.
All right, so I got a motion to pass, properly seconded. Back to you.
Thanks. Just recapping some of the discussion on second reading. Everybody will recall that during the debate before we passed the LPR law, we got a letter from NDOT and the police department saying that our license plate readers would not be used for any immigration enforcement at all. And this bill was filed in an effort to put that sentiment into law. And quickly questions arose whether both the letter from the police chief and our ordinance would violate state law's sanctuary policy. And so this bill got deferred. I asked for it to be deferred until after the budget process to give some time to work through it. And we did find a solution. Both state and federal law require that local officials, including our council, not interfere with law enforcement reporting or verifying the citizenship status of anybody. And so the amendment we added on second reading carved that out. So if federal immigration authorities are trying to establish what somebody's citizenship is and they deliver a license plate number in connection with that, our LPRs can be used for that. However, if immigration authorities know the immigration status, there's no requirement that we have to help find a car in connection with somebody who's being sought on a civil immigration violation if the citizenship status is known. So the amendment got us into a place where we will absolutely comply with existing state and federal law about verifying or reporting citizenship status. But beyond that, we wouldn't use our technology for more than that. And that's what the amendment did on second reading. That was the committee discussion with 2 committee approvals at the last meeting, and happy to answer any questions, but would move approval on third.
All right, so again, I've got a motion to approve on third reading, properly seconded. Councilmember Benedict, you're recognized.
Call the question.
Councilmember Benedict calls the previous question. All those in favor of the previous question say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It's pretty clear the previous question prevails, so we're on the bill. Now, what I'm checking on is, do I need to go on the board? I go on the board for any negative or any abstentions. Yeah, on third reading. Okay, so we're on the board, Mr. Clerk. The motion is to approve Bill 2022-1115 for passage on third reading. Ready to vote? Mr. Clerk, if you don't mind, open up the machines. We are voting on BL 2022-1115 for passage on third reading. If you're for the bill, you'd vote aye. If you're against the bill, you'd vote no. All votes are in. Councilmember Taylor? Councilmember Taylor, come up to the front of the room. No, I'm just kidding. All right, everybody's in. Mr. Clerk, the closed machines take the vote. Ayes 32, no one, noes 1, 0 abstentions. The bill passes on third reading. All right. All right, we're on item number 67, Bill 2022-1250 by Councilmember Stiles, Welsh, Toombs, and others. It's an ordinance to amend Title II of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to create the Nashville Entertainment Commission. Councilmember Stiles, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I would like to defer, which would ultimately be withdrawal with a brief comment.
All right, so yeah, it's my understanding that if you defer this, the bill is withdrawn. So Councilmember Stiles is moving to withdraw, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation.
Thank you very much. So we've spent a little bit over the last 2 months in discussing how we can address our creative industries here in town, and despite the different levels of conversation, I'm glad that we're having the conversation. I think it's much needed, and knowing that there is a roundtable conversation that's coming up with the mayor's office to discuss the creation of an Office of Music, Film, and Entertainment, I'm going to go and participate in that, but I do want to encourage all of you to be mindful that for over 2 months we have received emails from constituents being in favor of this legislation. And it pains me to have to defer it / withdraw it, but I think we do need to be mindful, as Councilmember Rosenberg did say earlier tonight, that we don't engage in personality politics and are more focused on making sure that we're doing legislation that is based on helping our constituents. And this is a large constituency group here in Nashville. So as we're going into this roundtable conversation and we come out and it's going to be legislation coming forth, please pay attention to what constituents are asking you, what they're saying they're supporting. Beyond, I like so-and-so better, or I'm set up with someone, all of those things don't matter at the end of the day. Our goal should be to get something that makes people's lives better here in town. So with that, I will draw.
All right, so let me make sure I'm clear. So the motion was to defer, but then you also want to withdraw.
If you defer it, it is a withdrawal.
Right. Well, so I just need to know what, do you want to, if you withdraw, then there's no vote and it goes away.
Well, then we'll just do that.
Okay.
Thank
you. So the bill is withdrawn. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Stiles. All right. We are now on item number 68, Bill 2022-1270 by Councilmembers Pulley, Johnston, and Van Rees. It's an ordinance amending Section 17.12.03 of the Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code pertaining to the calculation of required street setbacks for residential areas with an established development pattern. Councilmember Pulley, you are recognized.
Mr. Vice Mayor, committee reports, please.
All right. Public Planning and Zoning, Councilmember Withers. We're on 1270.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Planning and Zoning met and considered Ordinance Bill 2022-1270 and recommended approval, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions.
Did y'all have an amendment in there?
Let me look back at our agenda. I believe we did, and we approved it by the same,
Okay.
Count.
All right.
8 in favor, 0 against, 0
Sounds good. Back to Councilmember Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd move the bill.
You want to move the amendment first, right?
You want to move the bill and then amendment? Or?
Okay, so you move the bill properly seconded.
Okay. Now move the amendment with a brief explanation if I can.
All right. Councilmember Pulley has moved an amendment on 1270, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation.
Okay, very briefly, I got to explain a little bit of the bill so that amendment will make sense. The bill, in 2014, there was a bill established in the council, sponsored by Councilmember Holloman, that established contextual setback lines. And within the framework of that bill, which still exists today, there's an exception in there, which is 3 times the minimum setback, is an option given to someone developing property outside of the contextual line. So that's caused some contention both in the zoning administrator's office and out in the community. In my district specifically, on 3 occasions, developers are using the 3 times the minimum setback to get outside of the contextual line, caused a lot of contention in the neighborhood. In fact, on 2 occasions, we had neighbors file before the BZA to get the BZA to overrule the exception. And one of the cases worked out a negotiation between the developer and the neighbor. In the second case, it went to the BZA, and incredibly, they overruled the exception and sent it back to the developer to develop on the contextual line. Well, this creates a problem, so I had a conversation with Councilmember Holloman about it, and he said that the reason he put the exception in there is with the end of his term, and he didn't want to fight with the development community, so he put that exception in there and got it passed. I reached out to developers. Developers gave me their opinion of it. I filed the bill, and you might have remembered a few emails that we got initially. So I deferred the public hearing and met with stakeholder groups. And what came out of that meeting was an amendment that was satisfactory to the majority of the development community, which allowed them to basically develop the properties that they had purchased already with the exception in mind. So what the amendment does is it clarifies some language on identifying how to describe the contextual setback. It also gives the zoning administrator the authority to throw out an outlier when he's figuring these contextual lines. And importantly, it sets October 1st as a date for the bill to take effect if it passes tonight, so that it will give these developers plenty of time to be able to vest their properties that they want vested, which they purchased with the exception in mind. So I would move that amendment, and I'd ask for your support.
All right. Councilmember Pulley has moved amendment number 1 to 2022-1270, properly seconded. Discussion on the amendment. Everybody good? All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, no. Amendment passes. Councilmember Pulley, you're on your bill as amended.
Thank you. I'd move the bill as amended.
Councilmember Pulley has moved the bill as amended, properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Voting on it on 3rd reading. All those in favor of BL 2022-1270 as amended for passage on 3rd reading, say aye. Opposed, no. Bill passes on 3rd reading. All right, I think we've got one left. It's item number 83. It's BL 2022-1366 by Councilmember Hall. It's an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from CL to MUNANS zoning for property located at 3517 Old Clarksville Pike, approximately 474 feet west of Whites Creek Pike. It's 1.1 acres. Councilmember Hall, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is going to be deferred to the first public hearing in October, but I want a brief explanation from.
Yeah, let me get a committee report from Councilmember Withers, and then we'll clarify all this.
Our committee did review this one, and we recommended approval, 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions. I believe that it will be re-referred to our committee, though.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Hall, you're recognized.
Planning, please.
Okay, y'all may want to listen to this because this bill is going to have a second public hearing, okay? Ms. Milligan?
Sure. So just by way of process, the way that public hearing information works is the planning department prepares sign information, prepares notice information, and sends that to the applicant for them to complete, and then they bring the notices back to us. We mail those. They have the signs prepared, and those get posted. It appears, and I did double check, it appears that when they had the sign printed, that there was an error in the printing of the sign. The information that they received was correct, and they had an error in the printing of the sign. And so to make sure that everything is done properly, we will resend them notice information and have them re-notice the public hearing so that the sign information is correct. The mailed notices were done correct. The newspaper notice was correct, but we do have 3 ways that people are sort of notified of signs or notified of hearings, and we just need to make sure that all of those were done properly. So it will be deferred. There will be a public hearing held, and then it'll be on 3rd reading at that time.
All right. Councilmember Hall?
So move to defer to the first public hearing in October.
Okay. The motion is to defer to the first public hearing in the first meeting in October, and then we will have a public hearing on that date, right? Okay. That's the motion, properly seconded. Any discussion on this deferral motion and another public hearing on this bill? Seeing none, ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Bill passes. All right. Mr. Darby, I believe that's it. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. We're adjourned.
How did you get a good one?
I just had to say, I love that tomato on your desk. Thank you, and go East.
It came from the Tomato Festival. Yes, it did.
Just what I thought it was pumpkin.
And so the council has concluded about a 2-hour and 45-minute meeting. The council got started a little bit late. It was a 36-page long agenda with 93 items, so they got through with it fairly quickly tonight. The first thing the council did, we'll go through these things in sort of in numerical order to some degree. The council had a rule change tonight that was might seem small, but was fairly significant in terms of the council procedure. There was a rule to change number of votes or objections it took to stop a bill from being considered if it was they had to suspend the rules to do that. Right now, if you have 2 objections or more, the bill cannot be considered, or the amendment or whatever it is. And this comes up several times, sometimes during council meetings. It would take that requirement up to 5, but the council didn't think taking it up that high was a good idea, so they pretty much rejected that rule change with 27 votes no, 7 votes yes, and 2 abstentions. It's come up before. It takes 27 votes to change a council rule, and it's got 27 no's right now. So if it's going to come back, it's going to have to see some people have to change their mind. Council also tonight passed a couple pieces of legislation that, again, are an objection to the Supreme Court decision overturning the constitutional right to an abortion. A bill that was on 3rd and final reading tonight added an additional requirement to Nashville's Do Better law. It would require companies seeking economic community development incentive grants or pilot payment in lieu of taxes agreement with the city to provide their employees with access to obtain medical treatments that are otherwise unavailable in their respective home state, meaning abortion here in Tennessee. There's also a ban on the second reading tonight related to the abortion issue as well. It would basically ban the use of license plate scanner technology to assist with enforcing laws outlawing abortion or interstate travel. That passed on second reading tonight, although there were 2 no votes and 3 abstentions. It was also Also, another bill regarding LPR technology. This is on third reading, and it was approved tonight 31-2. It would greatly limit the use of license plate readers with enforcing immigration laws. By the way, Nashville does not presently have an active LPR program. There is a pilot program underway that's been underway for several months. Cooper administration has made a major commitment to addressing the growing number of pedestrian deaths and injuries along Nashville roads tonight by a vote of 27-7 with 2 abstentions. They approved or endorsed a Vision Zero action plan the administration has come up with. The plan makes specific commitments to projects, policies, and programs over the next 5 years to meet the goal of 0 deaths and serious injuries. Some council members, even those who voted for it, said they felt perhaps it was not quite strong enough, acting quickly enough. Some were concerned there was at least some references within the bill that the deadline for some of this was as far away as 2050. But again, the council voted 27-7 with 2 abstentions to endorse the plan as it sits right now. For the major action tonight, the council approved or deferred, I should say, 2 resolutions that would have appropriated $350 million revenue bond issue for the Metro Water Services to fund capital improvements in the city's water and sewer system. This is a lot of money that would not impact rates that are already not in place, but the council has an automatic deferral of that to look at something that large before they vote again. They'll be taking it up at a future meeting. Also on the agenda tonight, the council had several resolutions and ordinances that impact both affordable housing and homeless services. 4 of the resolutions would appropriate $50 million in American Rescue Funds to deal with that. Also, a second reading bill would allocate it in lieu of tax payments from the Convention Center Commission to affordable housing initiatives. The resolutions on American Resources were all deferred until October for more additional study on that, because that's an awful lot of money. Nobody's, again, spending the money in that area. They just want to make sure it's being spent in the right place, many councilmen said. Also, on second reading on a voice vote, the council approved expanding the historic property abatements in the city that grants the improvements to the changes include granting the improvements, the kind of tax abatements to historic structures damaged by a national disaster, man-made disaster, or other causes beyond the owner's control. This was particularly amended to make sure that it would cover those property owners down on 2nd Avenue who were impacted by the Christmas Day bombing, and also to help efforts to revitalize the arcade and perhaps some other properties downtown. The council will act on that again in the second meeting in September. The council, the sponsor can't be here the first meeting in September, but the bill is now pending on third and final reading. Also, the council approved tonight a $90,000 grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council, along with $81,000 in matching funds for Metro. City Social Service Commission will deliver meals to eligible seniors at homes and congregate meal sites throughout Davidson County. Meals will meet RDA nutritional guidelines. The grant also provides transportation services for eligible seniors and handicapped residents. This is a continuation of a grant that has been in place for over 30 years. Council also accepted a $6.4 million grant tonight from the state, from the Metro Health Department, to promote the proper use of all recommended vaccines. Under other resolutions, the council rejected the idea of setting up a study for a task force to initiate a study to determine the 5 most probable locations for potential waste transfer stations within the county. There's an increasing concern in the council about the waste management issues that are facing the city, but they didn't feel like setting up this particular task force to do this study would do anything other than perhaps stigmatize a lot of neighborhoods who might be mentioned in this as undesirable kind of places. The council also, of note, took advantage or considered a bill tonight that would have extended the ban on indoor smoking and now vaping opportunities in certain age-restricted 21 and up venues such as bars and clubs. Indoor smoking already in non-age restricted venues such as businesses, restaurants, and public buildings has been prohibited since 2007. The bill was deferred tonight because there have been some questions come up about the cannabis bars and the hookah bars that are coming up, where they fall in that. It's not clear in the state law what that would be, so they want to make sure they don't set up an unintended exception. They want to find out what that's going to be. So the council put that off, and they've deferred that until September to see what happens. I think they're also going to delay the impact or the effect of the law to make sure that that's done properly as well. But again, tonight the bill was deferred. Also on the agenda, the council had two bills before tonight about the Nashville Entertainment Commission. They were both deferred. In fact, the one on third reading was actually withdrawn because it had been deferred so many times. That bill probably did not have enough votes, 21 votes, to pass on third reading. The second bill was deferred tonight. There apparently is an effort by the mayor's office to have a roundtable along with people within the entertainment community within the next couple of weeks to see what kind of common ground they can come. This has been up here for the different ways of coming out to having it operate and also having it appointed. So I think we'll see what happens on that. A traffic calming measure also has been quite in demand. A bill on second reading was deferred. It would allow neighborhoods that have not been approved by Metro. There's been concern about which neighborhoods have not been. They would be able to do that on their own if they had private funding. That also is creating some raised eyebrows. So again, the bill's been deferred to look at. The council approved all the resolutions before it tonight, including honoring the life of African-American icon Darrell Freeman, the retired Metro Police Chief Joe Casey, and a late resolution that honored the life of former Metro Councilman Carl Birch. Resolution also honored the life of prominent Nashville singer and actress Shaka Durkee, and the resolution also honored the retirement of Bobby Medley after a 40-year career as a voting technician at Davidson County Election Commission. Council also recognized August as National Black Business Month in Nashville and Davidson County. Council is now in recess after a busy night. They will be back here again on the first Tuesday in September. That's September 6th. It's the day after Labor Day. We'll be here at that time to provide live coverage. Until then, I'm Pat Nolan, and good night from the council chambers. The Metro Council meeting tonight has come to you as a public affairs presentation. The Metro Nashville Network coming to you live from the Metro Council is a public affairs presentation of the Metro Nashville Network.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.